It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number for you tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And Johnson.
And, of course, you can join us online anytime you want. Just go to freetalklive.com and do that there. In fact, you can actually create the content there on the website. One of the top stories, as voted by listeners like you, is about a teenager suing the police. He says you need a warrant to check his breath for booze. And it's kind of an interesting story. Plus, on the way, robot rights. There's already a discussion about considering robots as persons over in Europe. Plus, Johnson, you want to talk about managing.
Yes.
Being a manager? What about what specifically?
Correct. That it's possible for managers, just the position managers, to ruin one of the best things about work.
All right, we'll find out more about that coming up here. You can join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But the number one story right now, as submitted by Thibery on freetalklive.com, is this teenager suing the police. It's coming out of Detroit Free Press. No search warrant, no breath test. That's the gist of a lawsuit filed by a college-bound teenager from Gross Township who claims that a police officer unlawfully tried to subject her to a breathalyzer test when he didn't have a search warrant. She refused and received a ticket. The officer then got hit with a lawsuit filed in federal court. He messed with the wrong teenager in this particular case.
Lucky for her that she can afford the lawyers on that.
Yeah, well, presumably. Maybe she's been giving them gratis, but I don't know. She's a high school senior, Casey Guthrie, an honor student, in fact, who is headed to Michigan State University in the fall. She filed the lawsuit Monday contesting the constitutionality of a warrantless breathalyzer test on a minor. Specifically, the 17-year-old plaintiff is challenging a local ordinance and state law that allow police officers to perform breathalyzing tests on people 20 years or younger without a warrant. Casey claims this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable searches. And, you know, I'm no attorney, but it sounds like she might have a case.
Right.
You can't discriminate against one group of people just because they're under a certain age as far as searches are concerned. Certainly the alcohol laws are discriminatory on their face in that, and then that would kind of be an interesting suit as well, to just simply sue prohibition, sue the state over prohibition.
Right.
Like, how can you say that 21 is the legal age for drinking while 18 is the legal age for doing pretty much everything else? Getting killed, smoking cigarettes, making your own decisions for yourself generally. But this one decision, drinking, you got to put that one off for another 3 years.
Right.
As though any of the people who signed the law, whenever the hell it was, however many decades ago that made it 21, was it a few decades ago?
Right.
As though any of those people didn't drink under the age of 21.
Right.
I mean, when you talk to the police, if they're honest with you, they'll say they drank under the age of 21, and the rest of them just won't answer the question.
It'd be interesting to be drunk under the legal limit and say, I'm not able to consent to your laws.
That would be nice. And how did their laws get their application in real life? It's just men with guns. So I think this is an interesting case. She is challenging, again, both a local ordinance and a state law. The issue stems from an incident in May when a police officer pulled over a car of teenagers, asked them to take breathalyzers to check whether they'd been drinking. Now, this is a thing with news media, and it really is it's kind of one of my pet peeves, is when they say the government asks something.
Right.
The officer did not ask for this.
Yeah.
There's a law that allows the officer to forcibly breathalyze somebody, to demand a breathalyzer be taken, and she received a ticket because she did not take the breathalyzer. So she's punished for not conceding to his demands. And so,
how would they write that if it was normalized to say that? I mean, you know, obviously
the officer demanded.
Demanded.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, you know, I mean, I would love to see it say the officer, you know, threatened by, threatened by will of force, or, you know, threatened to harm this girl if she didn't comply.
That's why we need more libertarians and voluntarists in the media, so they can actually sculpt language that will be more accurate to what actually went on. Now, of course, probably has to get past some sort of news editor. But if you've got a libertarian news editor, then maybe something like that would actually fly. It would be interesting to see the news really call out the government for what they are. I mean, to some extent, we do that here on Free Talk Live. We do it over at freekeen.com. But it would be nice if we had more of that. The toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. Casey, by the way, was a passenger in said vehicle, so not even one of the drivers. Now, there are different rules for driving when the police, and I don't know what they are in various different states, but if the police pull you over and they have a reasonable suspicion and they can demand that you take a breathalyzer, in that case, that applies to everybody. And that's when the police have some sort of reasonable suspicion, like, oh, I smell alcohol on your breath. So that would be the RAS they would need to.
Right. Of course, they could just say that, but
that is part of the problem with the leeway that the police have, and the courts, of course, will let him get away with that.
We don't have smell-o-vision cameras in the police cars yet to verify the veracity of the truth of what they're saying.
Yeah. But when it comes to passengers, though, if you are over the age of 21, then the cop really has no business breathalyzing you.
Right.
And so Casey was a passenger. She refused to blow into the machine. He, of course, wanted to know whether they'd been drinking, so the officer wrote her a ticket under the ordinance, says the lawsuit. Casey's lawyer, Mike Rataj, said of police officers writing tickets based on these warrantless searches, quote, they have no right to do what they're doing. It's a misdemeanor. It goes on a kid's record. In order for the police to do this, they've got to first get a search warrant. That's the bottom line. What's especially egregious, says her attorney, is that police are intimidating teenagers into taking breathalyzers and telling them, you need to prove your innocence. That's not the way the criminal justice system works. And this isn't, hard to believe. You've got teenagers who are being raised in government indoctrination camps, government schools, where they're taught to do what the police say. I remember when I went to school, I don't know if they did this when you were you went to college in Florida, right?
Right.
You went to school in Connecticut or Maine?
And in Connecticut a little bit.
So I know you went to it was a boarding school or something like that.
That's correct, yes.
So I'm curious to know if you had an experience like this. When I went to school, the police would trot out once a year all their trucks and whatever. They didn't have the Bearcat back then.
That did not happen in my school.
They actually brought the SWAT team helicopter out, landed it in the school field next door, and they had the SWAT truck and all the weapons out that they use, and all their toys. It was like police show off day. And, of course, officers out there answering questions. And this was really like a real puff piece for the police. It made them look like heroes. It made them look like this badass team, the squad, or that's out there fighting crime and fighting drugs. And did you get any of that kind of messaging, even if it wasn't from the police? Was that the schools?
I mean, a little bit of pro-government messaging, but not like that. More talking about government in general. Politician, being a politician, being a statesman, talking about founding fathers, like government kind of class. But that's it.
Were they wanting to have you run for office, or just...
No, not in school. Okay. That was not the focus ever. And the school that I went to for my senior year of high school was founded by my class. So, it was the first year. It was the charter year of that school. So, it was like, they're opening a school in Connecticut for this school. I'll be close and home. So I did that. And so that school being established, the focus was kind of that,
So you never really grew up. Did you grow up at all with the police are good guys mentality? Was that inculcated in you by your parents at all?
I'm sure a lot of people would say that, and have said that. But yeah, definitely my parents were liberals, but in terms of really inculcating it, no. And I wouldn't have been receptive to that from a pretty young age anyway.
But a lot of teenagers, unfortunately, are, and they don't know their rights. They've been indoctrinated by the state. And when a police officer by the time you're a certain level of teenager, you probably know cops aren't your friends.
Yeah, I should say that it's not that I've ever felt that cops aren't good guys. I just feel that they're stupid. That they're not, unfortunately, they're just ignorant, and they are targeting crimes without victims, and they don't care or whatever. They're just out there to make money. They're out there
or laziness.
I think it's ignorance
or
and
greed,
it's ignorance and greed, and they're out there to collect for their department.
More about these illegal, allegedly breathalyzers in Michigan coming up.
Get a pen and get ready for an important announcement. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, OIC Tax can help. Our retired IRS agents, tax attorneys, and CPAs are fighting for you. That's what we do here at OIC Tax. We help you survive after the IRS has come knocking. OIC Tax can help you with IRS hardship programs, offer in compromise, installment agreements, and the preparation of past and current tax returns. OIC Tax offers convenient representation for small businesses, corporations, W-2 wage earners, and even SBA loans in default. So stop waiting. Get a fresh start. Call OIC Tax at 1-800-314-4491 now. Bank levies, wage garnishments, and property seizures can be devastating to your life. OIC Tax has an A rating from the Better Business Bureau and is registered with the IRS as an e-file provider. Let OIC Tax help you. 1-800-314-4491. 1-800-314-4491. That's 1-800-314-4491.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind. Just dial in toll-free here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We have Skype as well. Skype username is LRN.FM. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
We're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. Also, if you've missed the healthcare deadline and don't have any form of healthcare, well, Liberty Health Share has the answer for you. They've got affordable healthcare options that allow Americans to enroll any time of the year. Now, for those of you who've already enrolled but aren't satisfied with what you've chosen, there is still hope. Liberty HealthShare allows Americans to control, manage, direct their health care, yet still be in good standing with the Affordable Care Act. Members are exempt from the tax penalty and the mandates imposed on individuals for not having health care insurance, which gives you freedom from insurance. Liberty HealthShare empowers their members by giving them the ability to choose any doctor or hospital across the nation. Memberships are for individuals, couples, and families, offering a variety of options to best suit your medical needs. If you're a freedom-loving American looking for contract-free health care, this is for you. For more information on how to enroll any time of the year, call them up at 855-585-4237, 855-585-4237, or visit libertyhealthshare.org to request your free estimate. More about the heroic teenager who is suing the police over what she says are completely unconstitutional searches.
Sue the police. Sue the police.
Well, it might be more effective than having sex with them, I suppose. Anyway, Gross LLE or ILE, I think it's ILE, Gross Isle high school senior Casey Guthrie, she's an honor student. She's suing the police, she's suing the state and the town, basically, over these ordinances and state law that, I guess, authorizes it, to have police officers perform breathalyzer tests on people, anyone who's under the age of 21, basically. If you're 20 years or under, the cops can just stop you and give you a breathalyzer, which is crazy and obviously unconstitutional, especially for a young lady who was just a passenger in a car. We'll get back into it, but first, Sarah's on the line in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Sarah.
Yes, it was announced that the Arizona economy is doing so much better than New Mexico's economy.
It was announced. Now, where and how or when was this announced?
Oh, you know what? I'm right here reading an article on the by independent newspaper of Albuquerque Free Press.
Okay, so there you go. So it makes it's just better when you just go ahead and cite your source. According to the Albuquerque Free Press, Arizona has a better economy than New Mexico. That's better than it was announced.
Well, you know what? Everything I usually say, it was announced on the radio news. So
yeah, but do you understand that like radio news could mean like a guy in his garage with a microphone doing some sort of a podcast, like that just has no authority to give any kind of reasonable information whatsoever? Like, it might not be a legitimate source.
Yeah, well, according
to let's take it at on its face here that Arizona's economy is doing better than New Mexico. All right.
Okay, so then, this article was actually written by Matt E. Ryan, as an associate professor of economics at Desquaniyo University in Pittsburgh. Anyway,
we're getting better here, actually, on the credentials. This
She's
is
definitely
good.
citing more.
Now we're getting kind of what do they call that? The bibliography, or no? What is it when they have you cite your sources on the?
I think it was bibliography.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
But now it's almost like information overload. So what's your point, Sarah? So what if the economy is better there? Hasn't it always been better? Or are you saying that previously New Mexico's was better than Arizona and something has changed?
Well, you know what? I think we were quite kind of similar. I mean, Arizona was a little bit better. Now they're doing way much better. And according to my hypothesis is that Red Flex, the red light camera company, operates out of Phoenix. And you know something? All the royalties and profits that get generated from tickets, it just gets.
You do know that
Arizona.
You do know, Sarah, that the economy is much bigger than just one company, right? So the fact that some red light corporation, red light ticketing organization is located in Arizona in no way, shape, or form is going to swing the economy in one way or another. I mean, I understand they probably reap a lot of profits from writing all those red light tickets, but they're just one corporation.
Well, but you realize that Arizona is a camera state. I was told that they have cameras on the freeways. I don't know. It's like I was told that the industry is based on cameras, taking pictures of you and finding you, right? I mean, there's a big business there.
Yeah, there's a huge business there. And it's a bad business. It's an evil business that is run by people who are profiting from their buddies in government. that are sending them all of this income, sending them all of these profits. Ridiculous amounts of money.
Well, think about it. The thing is, if there's a ticket that got issued out in Atlanta, Georgia, or Chicago, Illinois,
that's all coming into Arizona, is what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Well, the thing is that they get royalties. They still have a patent. Whoever has invented it, they're going to have the patent for the.
I bet you they're getting majority of those checks. I wonder. It does make me wonder what the breakdown is. There's some sort of agreement that they have with each city that they're installing these red light cameras, and I suspect the agreements differ based on what kind of weight the cities have and how many other competitors there are out there as far as who else is offering similar red light camera operation services. But it does make me wonder, let's say the ticket for a red light camera is $100. I don't know what it actually is, but if it's $100, what portion of that $100 is going to the city? What portion of the $100 is going to the red light camera company? I bet they're taking a good chunk. If not the majority, I bet it's 40% or something like that. I bet it's a good chunk of cash.
Well, the thing is, I don't know what the breakdown is. One of the big arguments is that people wanted those cameras to be like city or state owned, but as long as they have a patent and they still got 70 more years to go, they have to get royalties because they're the inventors.
Yeah. So don't you think patents should go away?
Well, they still got 70 years, or whatever, 60 more years.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you about patents in general. Don't you think they should go away? Should we get rid of patents?
Well, something. We live in a capitalist economy.
No, that's not really true.
We weren't a capitalist.
That's not really true. It's better described as a mixed economy or a corporatist economy. It's not a really true capitalism. But regardless, are you going to defend patents? I mean, aren't you? It sounds to me like you don't think patents are that great.
Well, the biggest complaint is that people did not like some corporatist, like you said, some big corporation getting royalties from it because they felt like it should be like.
I don't think people like red light cameras. That's what it is. It's not the fact that they're a corporation running it, although there may be some people who would rather get screwed by the state than by some corporation doing business on behalf of the state. To me, it doesn't matter who's doing the screwing. They have a government-granted monopoly on this deal, and that's my objection to it. And part of it is because of those patents that you were talking about. Thanks for the call tonight, Sarah. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Didn't really expect Sarah to get into intellectual property.
I found the story she was referring to.
Which one?
The one she was talking about from the Albuquerque Free Press.
All right, stand by. 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. Join us on Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $16 lower at $1,274 per ounce, and silver is 18 cents lower at $17.37 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $669 US. Roberts & Roberts has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST hosting.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us toll free here at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. We've been talking about search warrants, specifically warrantless searches on teenagers, people under the age of 21 in Michigan, where breathalyzers are being used by police and apparently have for a while. Because most of the time when the cops pick on young people, they're picking on people that don't know their rights.
Right.
So they just go ahead and give up their rights and submit to this breathalyzer and then never do anything about it. In this case, a young lady did not submit to the breathalyzer, was ticketed for it, and is now countersuing in federal court.
Do you want to take a diversion for a little bit? Because
yes.
I did find the article that Sarah had mentioned to us, and I always find it entertaining to verify and fact check things that she says,
because she's full of it on so much. Now, what you're referring to is an article she called up about. She first said it was announced.
Right.
Something about how Arizona is having a better economy than New Mexico, and I asked her immediately to specify who announced this and where. Let's get specific. And so she named an article in an independent publication there. I guess was it Arizona publication or New Mexico?
That's right. Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Albuquerque. So in a local Albuquerque independent publication, she cited an article. Then further, she went along to cite who allegedly wrote the article. But Johnson, you found out that was not true.
Right. So I got from the Albuquerque Free Press to this article in the Albuquerque Journal that was a guest column by resident. This is his credential. Albuquerque resident, Charles Whitehurst. So that's his credentials. However...
Well, that's all you need to have an opinion, is that you can fog a mirror. I mean, that's all you really need.
Sure. So, however, he mentions this study that she mentioned. So that's probably where she was getting it from, was from this article. So, criticism of Governor Susana Martinez by the presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump is supported by years of ineptness by New Mexico policymakers. Well, that's a message I can get behind. A study by Professor Matt Ryan of Duquesne University comparing the economic growth of New Mexico and Arizona over a 50-year period, 1960 to 2010, approximately, is an enlightening read. His study looked at various public policy decisions that could impact economic growth either positively or negatively. The political parties in power make policies, and in New Mexico, those policies made largely by Democrats have been lessons in futility. Ryan's study showed that in the 1960s, both states were in the bottom third of the states in the economic growth. Today, Arizona is in the upper half and is still growing. New Mexico remains in the lower third, not only in economic growth, but in most other categories.
There's no doubt that economic, these policies by government can absolutely hinder growth. It'll make it the difference between a corporation. If a corporation's going to move down to the Southwest and Arizona's got a better climate for taxes or whatever, they're going to move there. Hold the rest. If there's more that you wanted to share, hang on.
That's it. I think that's enough. We give the flavor of it.
Let's talk to Ron. He's in New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, Ian. Good to hear your voice again, man.
Hey, thanks, Ron. Go ahead. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, well, I'm just sitting here at Porcfest listening to your broadcasting you live down here, and it's a shame you're not here, buddy.
Well, it's not my problem.
Where are we broadcasting live out of?
Well, Derek J. took down the equipment from the remote broadcast equipment, the LRN.FM.
I
Free
thought
Talk
this
Live.
was this is illicit
I don't know, man. Maybe somebody's got your streaming on and they're playing it through loudspeakers or something, but I'm sitting here listening to you. I haven't heard you something kick you off the air down in Raleigh.
Well, usually what happens there at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, having been to a number of those events and broadcast live from them until the Free State Project gave us the boot this year over my libertarian views on age of consent. They kicked us out of the event. But anyway, what normally happens is there's a speaker that's pointed out the broadcast room window that sort of blankets that area of the campground with whatever show's audio is on at the time. And so I know Derek J. has set that up. So I don't know where – that's probably where you're hearing it coming from.
I've never been to Porcfest before. It's the first time, and I only learned about it from listening to you. And it's a great event, man. It's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it for sure.
Cool, man. We'll have fun up there. It's a great, it was a great event. It may still be a great event. I don't know. I'm not there this year.
Why don't you put on a wig and some high heel shoes or something and come down here in disguise?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ron, and have a good time out there. Well, it's not that I would be against putting on a wig or high-heeled shoes. That would be kind of fun. But Buzz's Big Gay Dance Party isn't happening, so wigs and high heels just doesn't have the same.
I was amused by the idea that somebody said because Free Talk Live got the boot, I sell the merchandise for Free Talk Live, and
you do.
And
you're not right now because you're not at Porcfest.
That's correct, but it would be. I was thinking it would be music because if I did go and somehow underground sell it out of the trunk of my vehicle or something, then it would be the first black market established
at Porcfest.
It would be the first black market with the rules coming from the administration or whatever you want to say.
Well, there have been more rules kind of put on at Porcfest over the years. I remember I was having a discussion on Facebook a few days ago, and the issue was brought up over Chris Cantwell's ban from Porcfest because he was banned before I was.
And he went and he had a little barbecue across the street.
That was last year. He went and hung out across the street and had some drinks with some people there. I went out to see him, as well as several others. But the year prior to that, I think it was a year prior to that, they were actually searching cars because they had heard that Chris Cantwell was going to come to the campsite. And so they were stopping cars and searching them.
There was another reason for that, probably a more legitimately accurate reason, which was that they actually had people from town, locals, who were stealing the magnets off of people's cars, going into the campground, and then stealing things from people.
Okay, well,
they actually had to chase some people off of the campground.
I hadn't heard about that. Yeah. All I know is there's video of them searching for Christopher Cantwell when one of the folks was coming in a truck or something like that. So that's, to me, when the event...
What did they go up and be like, do you have a Christopher Cantwell in your vehicle?
I don't remember. I haven't seen the video in a long time, but there is video of them conducting these searches.
Yeah, but the question is, are you sure that the search was for Christopher Cantwell, or if it was to find out whether or not these people were?
I guess I'm not sure at this
attendees.
point, but I feel like that was what it was all about, and I'll have to pull up the video now at this point and see if I can find out for sure for you. But either way, to me, that was where the event jumped the shark. Even if they weren't searching for Chris Cantwell, just the idea of searching vehicles at a freedom festival seems pretty ridiculous on its face.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I remember they had the kid, as a kid, Rebecca A., who was, basically warning people as they were going out at night, not even coming in, warning them as they were going out, take your magnets, take them off your vehicle and put them in your vehicle, because they were warning people that this was happening. It happened like multiple times. So, I think to a certain extent it makes sense if you're having any kind of event to protect the people inside.
But that's not security. I mean, look, you could still go in there and park and walk into the park. I mean, there's that year you could. I don't know how much more restrictive they are now.
But they're not going to be able to like steal things in a vehicle and take off. There is some security to that.
Okay, I see where you're coming from.
If you're just checking to see, hey, do you have your wristband? Because that's all they were asking for. Like I would hold up my wristband on the way in, and they wouldn't even stop me. If I held my arm out the window and held up my wristband, they would just wave you on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand the arguments there, but it just doesn't feel like a freedom festival when you've got the the Nazis at the door searching people. I'm sorry, it just doesn't have that feeling. So to me, that's when the event kind of jumped the shark, if you will. And some people are upset this year over them not allowing Free Talk Live to broadcast, which, as you can
definitely, I'm in that category.
As you've heard from our caller there, someone is still going ahead and broadcasting Free Talk Live at Porcfest. So apparently we're still being heard at the event. So hello to everybody at the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
And I heard that there's now an LRN banner. Is that true?
I never I don't know if it was hung up today or not, but it was sent up there with Rich Paul yesterday or late last night. So hopefully the LRN banner has been hung. There was some drama about them not allowing the LRN banner to be hung, and then last night going back on that prohibition, so they changed their mind about that. So that's good. They being one of the organizers, I guess, to be more specific. The toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. The claim was that the organizer thought that LRN was 24-hour Free Talk Live, so that's why it was banned. I don't know about that. It's Free Talk Live.
When we ran out, we stopped using it. Why would you stop? Why undo all the good that's been accomplished? We thought everything was fine, and that was not a good thing. No. He started stinking. It was awful.
Shedding comes back, loss of hair, lots of dandruff.
Scratching will return. His shedding will increase.
If I ever took Roy off of Dinovite, he would go back to his hair loss.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
When I get down to the bottom of my box of Dinovite,
when I get to about 3/4.
Oh no, I've got a couple more scoops.
It's time to place my order. Dinovite.com.
Each and every day she is getting a Dinovite.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dinovite. If it's working, don't quit.
Don't do what I did and run out.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Is the recession really over? Is a bigger one on the way? Will our next president lead us to prosperity and peace, or will it all fall apart? Our modern world is unpredictable and unstable. Are you ready for what comes next? What if the worst happens? Will your family have enough food? Willing to gamble that nothing bad will ever happen to you? Be wise and be ready with 25-year shelf life Wise Food Storage. Wise Food Storage provides affordable, ready-made gourmet meals with a super long 25-year shelf life. Just add water and your family is eating delicious food instead of fighting for scraps in a food riot. Try it free. Order a no-obligation free sample meal delivered right to your front door. And for a limited time, in recognition of the July 4th holiday, get a 20% discount and free shipping on all orders. Once done, you're set for up to 25 years. Be wise and be ready with Wise Food Storage. Call for your free sample now. 800-803-5505. 800-803-5505.
Tides are caused by the moon. The moon's gravitational pull also sucks up the feces and urine of the ocean floor, dumping it in the intertidal zones. The tide goes out, revealing pus-filled cysts known as tide pools, while the moon itself remains hypocritically pristine. Crabs are one of the many disgusting denizens of intertidal pools. They feed on feces and corpses with their demonic mouths. Scuttling hither and thither, they compete relentlessly for the juiciest excrement. Finding a walrus turd is truly nirvana for these abhorrent beasts. After accumulating too much filth to move, crabs bathe themselves in the ocean. Waste floods off the crab's exoskeleton and back into the tide pools as the cycle of begins anew.
This is the Onion News Network.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. If you're looking to promote your business, grab some business cards, 500 of them. Custom business cards for just $9.99 when you use code FTL at the checkout of Vistaprint.com. Vistaprint's great for small business owners. They've got all kinds of things besides business cards they can do for you, like postcards, flyers, banners, apparel, invitations. Super easy to use their customizer there for the business cards on their website. I've done it. In fact, I did it with the Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree palm cards that I made, full color cards, because you can customize the text, colors, backsides, and more. You can upload an entire design if you want, or just upload your logo into one of their existing designs. Super easy, and they guarantee that you'll love your products every time, or they'll make it right. So go to Vistaprint.com, use code FTL at checkout, and get your 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. As we continue here, apparently being broadcast live at the Porcupine Freedom Festival campground, which is great. It's great that we're at the very least being heard at that event. I still think it's an important event for liberty-minded people to come together and enjoy each other's company. I can understand why some people don't want to go. I, by the way, never asked anyone to not go to the Porcupine Freedom Festival, even after they kicked me and Free Talk Live out of the event. I think that if you haven't been to one, you probably should go if you'd wanted to.
So can I admit something?
Sure.
I always thought that the Porcfest week of Free Talk Live was the worst week of radio.
Oh, is that right? Just because of all the interviews?
Yeah, it's just a mess. It's poor audio quality, and it's just like, a revolving door of just all these random people. It's hard to follow. I like it when, it's great that you get the opportunity to talk to so many people and activists around the country or whatnot, but it's better. I just find it better when they just call in,
But they really don't
share a story. I know, but that's their fault.
It is. Yeah. That's why we get Sarah
It's better to have them
night.
on really, good audio and, not, over a weird connection and all that stuff.
I had fun with it. It's fun to do.
Sure.
It's fun to do a show live in front of an audience. It's pretty rare
right.
that happens. And so that was fun. It's fun to meet the people that have been listening for a long time, and it's certainly fun for them.
Right.
It's a lot of fun for somebody who's a listener of the show to be able to come out and actually meet the people that they're listening to. So that's a cool thing.
Well, hopefully, eventually, Keenvention will make a comeback, or whatever.
Well, I got no plans to do it at the moment.
Yeah.
It's just I've got enough on my plate.
Sure.
It's kind of how I feel at this time. And there's something to be said for kind of going out when something's fun, and not letting it die off. Going out on top, as they would call it. Not that I would say Keenvention was on top of anything. It was just a fun little convention that we did here in town for liberty activists. And it went through 3 years, and it was a good 3 years. So it never really got bad. Keenvention never had the chance to jump the shark or anything like that and get overmanaged or something like that. I mean, and again, kudos to all the people who've run the Porcupine Freedom Festival. I would not rain on somebody's parade to say, oh, you did a bad job. That's a hard thing to put together. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's the Porcupine Freedom Festival. It's not it's not like a music festival. There's a music component, but there are a lot of speeches, and there's panel discussions, and then there's activities and like stuff for kids and stuff for families and stuff for couples or whatever. There's all kinds of different tracks, if you will, going on at that event, and try to juggle all of that and still deal with admissions and all the other issues that are going to crop up with somebody getting locked out of their hotel room or whatever. The bathrooms are overflowing. I mean, there's always some sort of
sewage is leaking onto campsites.
It's happened. It's happened more than once.
Right.
So to have to deal with all that, that's not an easy thing.
The water also dies every year. That's another one that's not quite fun.
Yeah, I heard there was some sort of issue already on Sunday night, but I don't know.
That's very soon for the water to die. That's crazy.
But some of the issues with the event over the years have, besides what you just mentioned, have been that some of the vendors have been upset because they feel like it's become more expensive and more onerous to be a vendor there, with more rules being placed on the vendors.
Speaking of vendors, I told Derek that I was glad that he was actually there, because who else is going to yell at the inspectors if they show up again?
The cops? You mean the tax cops?
Yeah,
that
the
showed
tax
up last
cops.
year.
And, well, not just tax cops, but also making sure that people are licensed to distribute food. Well, that they're the health code inspector or whatever it was. The ones.
Yeah, I guess they weren't doing that job there last year.
Yeah.
They were just checking revenue. They were revenue cops, basically revenue enforcers.
Right. But they did say that they wanted to make sure that everyone was licensed.
Correct. Licensed to collect sales tax for the full week. That was kind of what their goal was there. But yeah, Derek J's still there. There's still some great activists that are attending this year, and it's weird watching it from the outside after having been involved with it directly for so many years. I mean, not to say I mind just kicking back on my porch for a week.
The stress level. I mean, I'm already kind of stressed out from a lot of other stuff this week, and it's great to not have that on top of things.
Yep. So, and also some people are still, they're still coming into Keene. We just had the guy from Roberts and Roberts. Tim was in town today hanging out. He went to our Bitcoin meetup, which happened today. It was real small, but it happened. And then there was another guy who came here before. Few people came before the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and then afterwards we'll probably have some folks come here for Social Sundays. Sunday at 6 p.m. Here, there's a meetup that happens every week on Main Street in Keene at a place called Local Burger that actually accepts Bitcoin. So that's always a cool thing for a libertarian to attend. So anybody that wants to can certainly come visit. There was a guy who emailed the other day. He's like, "Well, I might leave Porcfest early and come down and check out Keene." I said, "Sure, we'll put together a meet and greet. It's no problem."
Right.
So anyway, have fun if you're up there at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Like I said, I didn't tell anybody to not go to it, but a bunch of people decided they didn't want to go, and I can understand why that is. There's a group of people who have created a schism where one didn't really need to exist, and they hate me. They hate me so much that they signed some sort of petition and got themselves into positions of influence within the Free State Project, and they made it so that basically what happened was they said, well, if you don't do something about Ian Freeman, we're going to stop supporting the Free State Project. We're going to stop volunteering at your events. Yeah. And if your volunteers are going to mutiny, then what do? Right. You do what they want you to.
Or you get new volunteers.
Or you get new volunteers, but that's not easy.
Seemed to be there doesn't seem to be a shortage around
I don't know, dude. It's not easy to get volunteers in general. I mean, have you wrangled volunteers before?
I would also say though, like a lot of the key positions though around Porcfest have always been paid. They're not volunteer positions. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So, it's like, okay, when people are making lots and lots of money, it's like, well, you could divvy that up and pay a lot more volunteers smaller amounts of money. That would happen too, or could happen too. And I think that there are a lot of volunteers that would work completely gratis for Porcfest.
Yeah, maybe so. But either way, they would have been picking a side, right? So they would either pick the side of the people who are our existing supporters and who say you need to get rid of Ian Freeman.
A lot of the selection of people around that I've always gotten the vibe of a very cliquey sort of group for selection for who's going to organize and who's going to be involved in Porcfest. It's been very controlled from sort of the inside. I think ever since, and I'll just go ahead and say it, ever since Curtis, people were like, we can't have another Curtis. Because he made a lot of people angry. But I think, and I don't really know all the economics of it, so I'm kind of speaking from just complete hearsay from all the different people I've sort of talked to. But it seemed like while he made a lot of people angry, that he seemed to run it financially fairly well. Like, in other words, not terms of,
I don't know.
taking
I don't know
a lot
what
of money.
the details were there, but one thing's for sure, any decisions you make are going to piss somebody off.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so that's just, you got to be true to yourself. Otherwise, you're living for those other people. And so I'm glad I'm gone from the event. I mean, it's sad that I can't be there to hang out with some of my friends who I don't see very often or whatever. But hey, we're here in Keene. We're here 52 weeks a year. So, come on up, move to New Hampshire and get active here. People talk about Porcfest as though it's the best week of their life, being around all these other libertarians, voluntarists, and whoever, anarchists. And it is a cool feeling. But you could have that feeling 52 weeks of the year. Just move to New Hampshire and get active here, get into these communities of activists. Yeah, some people don't get along.
Yeah.
So what? That's what happens with people. Get over it and find the people that you do get along with. Hang out with those people. There's enough of those folks here. There's plenty of people here. There's thousands of people that have come here to New Hampshire already, and there's thousands more coming. I guarantee you're going to see more drama over time. But you're also going to see more get done because there's going to be more people approaching things from different directions, trying new approaches. And whenever you do something that puts yourself out there and your viewpoints, people are going to hate you for it. I wish it weren't that way, but that's just the way things are. So, again, I hope everybody out there at Porcfest has fun. And there's no prohibition on Porcfest calls, by the way. The dude who was a new listener, or I guess longtime listener, first time at Porcfest called up this hour. If you saw something that was cool today, call up and tell us about it.
Was that Shire Silver Ron, or is it a different Ron?
No, that was somebody who I wasn't familiar with.
Okay.
But if you saw something that was cool, you want to share, feel free. Phones are open here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Although, my understanding, they're not doing, keynotes this year or something like that. Honestly, I haven't followed closely. And they made it so you can't even see the schedule on the website without logging in. So that's kind of weird. It's like a closed event now. It's weird.
Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of the year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose an objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice, $50,000 apiece. Learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.27 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,274 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $675. Antiwar.com reports the ceasefire between Afghanistan and Pakistan is holding at the Khyber Pass border after deadly gunfights last week that killed at least 4 and which continue to leave thousands of people stranded on either side of the disputed border. Negotiations do not seem to be making any progress either, with the two nations ending a full day of talks on Monday without anything resembling an agreement resulting from them. Pakistani officials came out of the talks, however, reiterating their intention to build the border fence. Afghanistan and the U.S. occupation forces there have been pressuring Pakistan for years to control the border, and Pakistani officials believe that fences and gates will improve their control over traffic back and forth. Pakistani officials even tried to be amicable about it, building the fencing some 30 meters into Pakistani territory, at least by Pakistani reckoning, and that's the problem. The 1893 deal between Afghanistan and Britain, which defines the de facto border, is roundly rejected by Afghan officials, who insist that the real border is dramatically further south at the Indus River and that Afghanistan actually spans a large portion of Pakistan as well. So when Pakistani government forces came to build the fencing, the Afghans started shooting and the border patrols quickly got into open combat. With nothing resolved, it remains to be seen what happens when construction crews return. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports prosecutors and defense attorneys wrapped up their closing arguments Monday in the trial of Baltimore police officer Caesar Goodson, who has been charged in the death of Freddie Gray last year. Goodson is the officer who drove the transport van following Gray's arrest on April 12, 2015, during which medical investigators say the 25-year-old sustained the severe spinal cord injury that would ultimately lead to his death a week later. Prosecutors have argued that Goodson drove in a rough manner that allowed Gray to be tossed around inside the van, unbuckled. In fact, prosecutors argued that Goodson actually intended to injure Gray, knowing the chances of harm were high for a handcuffed, shackled arrestee who was not buckled into a seatbelt, and failed on at least 4 opportunities to secure him as per department policy. Prosecutors also alleged that Goodson denied Gray medical help when he needed it, which is also a violation of the department's procedural rules. Judge Barry Williams will now decide the case, not a jury, because Goodson elected for a bench trial. His verdict is scheduled for Thursday. Goodson is charged with second-degree murder in Gray's death, but 2 medical experts called by the defense questioned the official manner of death: homicide. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday widened the ability of prosecutors to use evidence obtained by police during an unlawful stop against a defendant in court in a case involving a Utah man who a narcotics detective found carrying illegal drugs. The 5-3 decision threw out a lower court's ruling that key evidence against Edward Strieff, convicted of methamphetamine possession and a related drug charge, was inadmissible because an officer obtained it in violation of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment ban on unreasonable searches and seizures. 3 of the court's liberal justices dissented, saying the decision gave too much power to the police at the expense of individual rights. Liberal Justice Stephen Breyer joined the court's 4 conservatives in the ruling, written by Justice Clarence Thomas. In a blistering dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote that while Strieff is white, it is no secret that people of color are disproportionate victims of this type of scrutiny, adding the court today holds that the discovery of a warrant for an unpaid parking ticket will forgive a police officer's violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Saying that he was giving his coworkers at Marley Publishing just a few more days to catch on to him, local mentally unstable man Michael Redding told reporters he planned on exhibiting 1 or 2 more warning signs this week before, quote, finally doing this.
I think I'll do just a couple of disconcerting things in front of people here at the office. maybe give them a day or two to take action through the appropriate channels. But if that doesn't happen, then I'm going through with it.
The fully unhinged Redding, who plans on, quote, making this thing happen sometime next week, claims that despite displaying erratic and worrisome behavior around the office for the past few months, his actions have gone completely unreported by his coworkers.
I definitely talked about my frustration with life in general, and I even discussed my fascination with all sorts of violence. But that still didn't throw up any red flags. We'll see if anyone catches on.
Mike? I don't know him super well, but he's nice enough. He's quiet and he keeps to himself mostly, but I'm sure he'll come out of his shell. Just a matter of time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Launching into the second hour of the program, you can join us here. Toll free, 855-450-FREE. We're going to tell you more about the teenager, high school senior, who's suing the government in Michigan over what is I think, allegedly illegal law that says that police can perform a breathalyzer without any kind of warrant on someone under the age of 21 just because they feel like it. And the young lady was a passenger in a car when the cop demanded that she breathalyze, and she refused, so she got a ticket for it. Now she's suing. We'll tell you more about that story coming up here in moments. Let's go first to the phones, to the fun. Daryl is in Texas. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Daryl.
Yes, well, kind of an interesting thing here in Austin. The the thing was at Arcade City. Couple of the drivers last weekend got cited. One lady got 2 citations, $500 each.
Yep.
Plus they stole her car. I will not say tow. I will say stole it. And so Arcade City is threatening to sue the city over this.
Yeah, well, it is an interesting situation, and I guess I got a video story about that tonight, so I didn't actually find something with some text in it. But I'm glad you brought it up because it was something that I thought was worthy of discussion, and that is the government in Austin is cracking down on Arcade City drivers. And unlike when they go after an Uber driver, where Uber will provide an attorney to somebody and defend them, Arcade City doesn't really have billions of dollars to spend on attorneys.
That's silly because you'd think that there probably are attorneys out there that would be willing to accept Bitcoin.
Well, it makes me wonder if there would be attorneys who would be willing to take the case just for publicity's sake, because Arcade City is a startup. I mean, they don't have any kind of money whatsoever. Right. So
actually
go ahead.
Backed by one of our city councilmen actually supports them.
Really?
From my understanding, Don Zimmerman was actually at one of their get-togethers. And
did you say Don or dog?
Don, D-O-N.
Okay, good.
Yes, it's been interesting watching what's been happening there. Let me bring the listeners up to speed on what has transpired in Austin, Texas. Uber and Lyft, they exited the marketplace. They're still doing business in the suburbs that surround Austin, but they're not doing any pickups in Austin city limits because Austin, Texas, the government there wanted to implement more stringent background checks.
But Austin is super free. Like, you're supposed to move there instead of the Free State Project because Austin has all the free people.
Even the people who...
There's no zoning in Austin, though. There's no zoning.
No, it's Houston.
Oh, Houston. There's no zoning.
I bet you there's zoning in Austin.
Okay.
The zoning in Austin's ridiculous.
Yeah. Austin's a liberal city.
Right.
It's like the only one in Texas.
A liberal stronghold.
Right. And there are some libertarians in Austin, no doubt about it. I mean, John Bush and his family are out that way, and they're great folks, and they were some of the folks who were promoting people moving out there. But, they've actually moved out of the city of Austin, too. They're living in one of the surrounding towns.
Right.
And so...
You can't get out of Texas. You got to have that 113-degree weather in the summer.
Well, whatever. Look, if you want to be with the most libertarians, that's New Hampshire, period, hands down. Yep. There's no doubt about it. The claim about Austin is, well, we're getting libertarians moving here without asking them to. And, okay, that's cool.
Because you have a percentage of the population because the area is so populated that you're not going to get anything done.
It's also a tech sector as well, so that might attract some more libertarians. But ultimately, it makes a difference when you ask someone to move somewhere and you have a track record of a bunch of successes of people moving there, which is why a bunch of people are moving to New Hampshire instead of Austin. But regardless, what happened in the city of Austin was there was actually a vote. And the voters, now again, not everyone votes, and this was a municipal election, so very few people vote. But of those who did vote, the voters voted for the city to conduct fingerprinting on people who want to be ride-sharing providers.
Right.
And so Uber and Lyft said, well, that's not our business model. See ya. And they left town. And so Arcade City and all these other upstart ride-sharing companies have come into Austin. And most of the ride-sharing companies are jumping through the city's hoops. They're getting the licensing. They're doing the fingerprinting. They're doing what the city wants. Arcade City, on the other hand, is not doing that stuff. So that's what's resulted now in Arcade City being targeted. And, Daryl, that's what you were saying. They've actually impounded cars of drivers from Arcade City. I think we lost Daryl. Daryl, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate it. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. We actually apparently have completely lost our connection to...
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. It sounded a little heavier than just a caller.
Yeah, to the Genesis Communications Network. And apparently this happened last night as well.
It's a global conspiracy.
And we're actually on via Porcfest through the method that we're normally connected to our network. So... when we're on our network, Genesis Communications Network, that puts us on the radio, we usually have two connections going simultaneously to them. So if one of them fails, they can fall back to the other one. But the other one is currently being used to feed to the Porcupine Freedom Festival. So we're currently on the air at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and we're currently off the air on the radio right now.
Oh, wow.
So people listening to the show at the moment are either listening online or they're listening in real life.
But they could come back at any time, so I'm not allowed to unleash any colorful language.
No, in fact, the radio is back as of right now. So no colorful language. That's just a general no-no here on Free Talk Live.
That's always a good idea, just to be safe.
So, so I guess our caller was actually probably still there when we were talking to him. He just wasn't hearing us because we weren't connected to the network. But anyway, they're cracking down on Arcade City. And Christopher David, who's the founder of Arcade City, he's a liberty activist.
If it's technical difficulties, does that mean Don gets to call back in?
I suppose, yeah.
That's the rule.
That is the rule.
If you still had more to say.
If you got more, come on here. That was actually not Don. It was
was it?
It was Daryl.
Sorry,
in Texas.
Right.
But the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
He said it was the person who was, on the city council's name was Don.
Right. That's what he had told us. So they're cracking down. They're impounding cars, and there's only so much an independent driver can take. They're using Arcade City a lot there in Austin, which is why they're cracking down on Arcade City, because what happened when Uber and Lyft left town.
You can't possibly allow you to have a successful business independently.
Well, that's just it. Arcade City is a bigger threat to the status quo because they do allow their drivers to make their own decisions about what they charge.
Right.
And Arcade City doesn't even have an app right now. They took their app off the marketplace a few months ago to supposedly retool it and make it so it's ready for prime time with ride hailing, which didn't exist in the original app.
Oh, weird.
Hailing meaning that you can request a ride in the app at that moment.
How did they possibly get business before? What?
Well, it was always in a kind of a startup phase. The original version of the app
I would have thought that would have been like phase 1, ride hailing.
No,
what?
It allowed for ride scheduling, the original app.
Right.
So what you would do with the original app is you'd get the app, you'd load it up, and then you'd let the app know where you were, and it would tell you, oh, well, you're in Keene. Well,
if Uber had only had ride scheduling, I'd have been like, who cares? I'll call a taxi.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's just interesting. It's interesting, but this should make a huge difference if they get that into their app.
If they can get that,
that's going to be a massive difference.
Right now, I don't know when the deadline is for the app or what the status is, and it's really unfortunate that they didn't have the app when Uber and Lyft left town from Austin, because it was a huge opportunity that they've still managed to make into something. Arcade City has gotten a lot of coverage from the news media because they are being used. There's actually a Facebook group with tens of thousands of members in it, which is something that I can't even imagine dealing with, because, when you get a Facebook group with more than a few hundred people, there starts to be drama, and you have to start moderating posts at a certain point. But in this group, I guess people are just posting requests for rides. And so somebody who needs a ride goes and posts in the Facebook group, and a bunch of drivers will send them a message saying, hey, I'll help you out.
Right.
And so there was scheduling going on, but with the group, so the old app had scheduling only. The group, you could just go on this group, post, and say, I need a pickup now, and somebody will come get you.
Why are they using Facebook for that? They should be using Twitter. It would make more sense, because Twitter's public and has APIs, and you can could actually even build like a website to like check for a feed on Twitter. Like you could totally,
I
do
don't
that.
know. I mean, I guess Facebook,
like, Arcade City Ride Austin #. Like you could totally do that and have people, You could even do Arcade City Ride Austin and then the GPS coordinates of where you are to hail a cab. You could potentially do that with,
So then the drivers would have to be constantly searching for Arcade City.
They could just have a set up alert. You could have an alert set up for if something happens on that hashtag and it just comes up on their phone. It just sounds
complicated. It sounds more complicated. Maybe someone would need to program an interface to make that easier for people. But I'm no fan of the Facebook group idea. I think that Facebook sucks.
Right.
But it's just it goes to show there's such a demand that tens of thousands of people went into a Facebook group, and the city is cracking down. We'll tell you more. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Ovaltine. Give your kids the nutrition they need to be their best. Visit us at ovaltineusa.com. Telling your child about healthy food choices is important, but showing her what to eat goes a lot further. Have her help create the grocery list, then bring her to the store with you. Picking out healthy foods together helps kids get in the habit of thinking about what they're eating every day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. Invite you to join us toll free. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you tonight, Ian here.
And Johnson.
And it's time for you to get some Bitcoin. Price is down. Might be a good time to buy. Drop down to like $660 today. Of course, it could go down more. You never know what's going to happen. But if you're ready to get started with Bitcoin, then you need a Bitcoin wallet. And there's one that we're recommending here on Free Talk Live. There's a bunch of them from which to choose, but this is a great one. It's Jaxx, Jaxx. It's one of the newest wallets on the scene. They've been in beta for a while. They're now out of beta, and it allows you to access Bitcoin, Ether, as well as the new DAO tokens. Now, whether or not DAO ends up surviving or not is another question, but Ether and Bitcoin are still alive and well. So go to jaxx.io, jaxx.io. It's a cross-platform wallet, which means you can have it on your smartphone, and you can have it on your laptop or desktop computer, your tablet. You can have access to your cryptocurrency in all of those places. That's because the cryptocurrency lives on the blockchain, on the internet. It's not actually in your phone. It's not actually in your wallet. Your wallet has the private keys that you need to access your cryptocurrency. So go to jaxx.io, jaxx.io. It's super easy to back up and recover your funds, so if you lose a device or it breaks, not a big deal with Jaxx. It's control in the palm of your hand, jaxx.io. As we continue here with your calls and thoughts, more about the teenagers suing the state of Michigan over ridiculous law that allows the police to breathalyze young people just because they feel like it. Let's go first, though, to Ralph in New Jersey. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ralph.
Yes, how are you?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight, Ralph?
Okay, well, as you know, Obama is one with the terrorists, he's one with Satan, and with the release of this, the 911 call, which he tried to whitewash and cover up, you can definitely make the case or the argument about illegal black animal as looking the other way rather than being blindsided.
I have no idea what 911 call you're talking about.
The one in Florida.
Huh?
The one in Florida, which they tried to whitewash.
Oh, you're talking about the shooter? You're talking about the shooting in Orlando?
The shooting in that club. Now, let me say this. Okay? I'm of the opinion that, given the state of confusion that this animal Obama is, you cannot get any. You cannot make him any animal than he already is. Okay. And
what is the point that you're driving at here tonight? I don't know. I mean, you love to call Barack Obama an animal.
The point I'm trying to drive at is you need to apologize for this man if you want to relieve yourself of white guilt.
What?
Huh?
Why do I need to apologize for Barack Obama? He's a terrible person.
But that's how you're going to relieve yourself of white guilt.
I don't have any guilt, dude.
I didn't vote for Obama.
I didn't vote for him. I don't support war. I don't support murder around the world, and that's what Barack Obama and George W. Bush and Bill Clinton and all these other a-holes have done.
I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about, the likes of, Paul Ryan, the likes of Mitchell McConnell.
And these are other politicians.
Not to mention Hillary Clinton.
So you want other politicians to apologize for Barack Obama? They all have blood on their hands, dude. All of them. All of them. They're all the same.
Yeah. I also, by the way, don't have any white guilt.
He can't do anything bad by himself. That's,
Yeah, exactly. He needs the help of these other people, Republicans and Democrats alike. Thanks, Ralph, for the call tonight.
Do you know why I don't have any white guilt? Because I'm not guilty of anything that any other white people did.
Because you're you and they are them. Right?
Because I'm an individual, and people who believe in white guilt, you're a collectivist, and you need to stop that. Because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I got no interest in Barack Obama or George Bush.
You have privilege.
Or whoever comes next. And by the way, that guy who was just on the phone, Ralph, he supports Donald Trump, as though Donald Trump's going to be somehow better. I don't know. Maybe Trump will be less likely to go to war than Hillary Clinton. I don't know if I agree. That's what Walter Block was saying recently. It's an interesting argument that he makes, but I see no reason why both of them aren't total war hawks. I mean, that's the
I don't
feeling
like your
I get.
accent or wherever it is you come from. We're going to build a wall around you.
Is that a Trump?
That would be Trump.
Imitation?
That would be Trump. I can't remember his name. You call her Ralph.
So
he would totally,
Ralph is a brown guy,
right? He would be like, you obviously don't come from here. Like, we're gonna build a wall for you.
So let's get back to the story here, actually, that we started the show with about the young lady, and then we'll talk about managing things here in a little bit and how managers destroy the best part of work. That's what Johnson is going to be telling us about tonight. But this young lady, she's 17 years old, was pulled over while she was in a car full of friends in Grosse Isle Township, Michigan, was told to take a breathalyzer. She refused, and then got a ticket, because if you refuse, you get a ticket, apparently. And she's saying, hey, this is unconstitutional. You can't discriminate against us here and warrantlessly search us because we're under the age of 21. She says, or her attorney says, that they have no right to do what they're doing. What's especially egregious is that police are intimidating teenagers into taking the breathalyzers and telling them, you need to prove your innocence. That's not the way the criminal justice system works. But that's obviously how the police would like it to work.
Right.
And it's sad that most people don't know their rights. This young lady did, or at the very least she was informed of them. Well, she must have known her rights. She refused the breathalyzer on the spot. And good for her. She's, quote, never been in trouble with the law, has no criminal history of any kind. According to her lawsuit, they claim her rights were violated when she was forced to submit to the breathalyzer test in order to prove her innocence. Grosse Isle Township Supervisor Brian Loftus declined comment on the lawsuit, noting he hadn't seen it. But he defended the township's ordinance, which allows police who have reasonable cause to believe a person is less than 21 has consumed liquor to request a breathalyzer. There's no benefit to underage drinking or drug use, said the bureaucrat. We have this ordinance to protect both minors and the community at large. Well, look, your ordinance is illegal. These people have rights. Just because they're under the age of 21 doesn't mean they don't get the same rights that everybody else does. And one of your rights is your right to privacy, unless the government has a warrant specifically describing what they're looking for and the reasons they're looking for it from you specifically. You don't just get to be excluded from the requirement to have a warrant because you haven't hit the age of 21. And I think that also should include other teenagers who are under the age of 18. I'm sorry, just because you don't have the legal ability to sign a contract or the legal ability to buy a pack of cigarettes doesn't mean you don't have rights.
Right.
And unfortunately, the police are not teaching people rights. The government schools aren't teaching people rights. That's our job. We've got to do that work of educating young people on what their rights are, because they're the easiest group of people to pick on out there. And the police will target the easy groups.
I think realistically what needs to happen, and I don't think you're ever going to get ahead of the government school system, and it needs to end.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're going to be able to teach people rights at the pace that they're teaching people how their rights don't work and just confusing them and making it into a problem. I think it needs to be stopped.
I
That's
agree
what
with
needs
you.
To be stopped.
I mean, let's flip this. Give me the switch I can flip to end the government school system, because I'd flip it in a heartbeat. But unfortunately, it's going to be with us for a while. And in the meantime, they're going to take advantage of these teenagers, and they're going to abuse them. And somebody needs to, reach out and give them their rights, give them their information. Thankfully, Cop Block is doing good work.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Government bureaucrat says, hey, we're just trying to keep these teenagers safe. We should be able to breathalyze these young people anytime we darn well feel like it, which is basically apparently the law in the state of Michigan. In the town of Grosse Isle Township, where a teenager is now suing because she was breathalyzed. She didn't want to be. She never had any trouble with the law. Maybe she was drinking. Who knows? Who cares? Right. I mean, these adults, these people who come down on teenagers.
Well, if she was driving, there would be a lot of people who would care.
She wasn't, though. She was a passenger.
Exactly.
And I don't know if there's not even any claim here that the driver was drunk. They don't say, and the driver was drunk and she refused. And presumably these guys weren't drunk, but regardless, for all these people pretending like they're so high and mighty, like, oh, we need to protect these teenagers from alcohol. Well, no steps are too far. We should be able to do anything we want, violate all of their rights because alcohol. Now, I understand alcohol is a dangerous drug. No doubt about it. It is something that can, and when I was a teenager, I had a bad time with some alcohol. Did you ever... I mean, you went to a boarding school. There must have been a lot of secretive drinking going on there.
No, not at my boarding school.
No, they were that strict. Like
no,
searches?
My boarding school was special. I've talked to you about my boarding school before.
You've talked to me some about it, but I mean, I don't know what life was like.
Oh,
there.
Really? I mean, I guess I haven't really talked to you in detail then.
Were they like tossing your cell constantly or something, or what?
Oh, yeah. And this was a school where there was an ethic called Brother's Keeper, which is if you knew of somebody else's transgressions, you were equally as culpable as they were.
So if you don't snitch, then you get in as much trouble as them?
It was the worst possible government established by this school that you could possibly imagine.
Wow.
Yeah.
I went to a snitch society.
Yeah, I went to a very bizarre school.
So when did you drink for the first time?
Oh, I had drank well before that.
Before you went to boarding school?
I think so. I mean, not like drinking, though. I've never really drank heavily. Never, ever.
You never puked?
No, actually, not from
I'll
drinking.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, no, I've never puked from drinking. Mm-mm.
Yeah, then you haven't drank very heavily then.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten drunk, but never puke. I mean, I don't have any interest. Like, if I'm already drunk, why would I keep drinking?
Good question.
I don't have that drive, I guess, that most people do,
Well, usually people keep drinking because other people are drinking, and that's just what they do.
I don't have whatever that is that causes people to do it. Like, for me, it's like, well, I'm starting to feel woozy.
That's enough.
It's time to stop.
Right.
Like, I don't want to continue drinking after, like, it's like, I feel like I'm on a boat. Which may be the benefit of I've got seasickness. So, like, if I'm on a boat and I go below deck, that's going to be a puking time.
Okay.
Actually, no, I've never puked from that either, but I've come close.
Okay.
And so, when I start to get wobbly on my feet, I'm not going to want to keep drinking. Like, why? That's alien to me. It's just strange. I've done acid.
I had to learn how to responsibly drink.
Right.
And I didn't learn it until I was in my mid-20s. But it wasn't because of Prohibition is what, kept me... Prohibition made it so I was drinking irresponsibly.
Right.
The rules of the government drove drinking underground. It made it an activity where people would do it in unsafe manner in unsafe places. And bad things happened as a result of that. Luckily, I didn't get any kind of unwanted babies or STDs or anything out of it. I lived through the experience.
Right.
Thank goodness.
I mentioned that I did acid as a teenager. LSD. And that's,
I didn't do that till my early 20s.
Which is kind of interesting because I did it between 6th and 8th grade.
Wow. More than once?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, not really much once I went to the high school, but then, a couple times in college. But, and that's, for the most part, I like to be in control of my facilities. Now, acid kind of hinders that a little bit. But depending on the dosage, it could be a lot. But in general, I like to generally just kind of keep control of myself. And it's like at some point, it's like, okay, this is, crossing that line. And I'm going to stop. It's just, I don't know why.
Good on you.
It's just a natural instinct for me. It is really instinctual. It's just like I don't want to lose control of my brain.
I can see where you're coming from. Right. I think that in a lot of cases, it's just that sometimes people even forget how much they've had to drink as well.
That's true. I mean, I guess once you pass a certain point. I've probably gotten to the point of where it would be close. The drunkest I've ever been is actually at a family function. It was a uncle's wedding.
There's a lot of people who drink for those reasons.
Yeah, sure. And I was just drinking. I was like, and I had started to get everyone else to like do silly things. So I was drinking and just like
having fun with it.
I can make other people perform. Because
they were that drunk.
I started getting people to like stick spoons to their heads and like doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And it was just that was fun. But I just. In general, I don't know what I don't know what it is. I just have that sort of time to stop kind of instinct that I don't think a lot of people do.
I think I have some of that in different ways. Like with cigarettes, I've smoked some cigarettes, like hand rolled cigarettes, over the last couple years.
I have smoked until I've puked. Actually,
whoa,
yeah.
That's crazy. I've never...
It's not that hard to do, actually.
Really?
Nicotine can really mess up you because, especially you get all phlegmy. You chain smoke. The nicotine can upset your stomach if you haven't eaten, especially. Like if you don't eat and then you smoke half a pack of cigarettes or whatever, especially if you chain smoke it, that's really going to mess up your stomach.
That sounds awful to me. So like one cigarette a day is too much for me.
And then I also kind of have sinus problems, and if you've done something like, I don't know, like let's say you had milk or something or whatever, you get all mucusy, and that can just make you kind of like, and then you...
And you
throw up.
Was milk involved with yours?
I don't know. I just it's phlegm essentially.
Okay.
If you've got a runny nose or like a throat, which it's very easy, obviously to get bronchitis or to get some kind of a cold if you're a smoker.
Sure.
Because you're just taking bacteria into your sinuses and lungs constantly
all day long.
And so you get that going, and you get that real phlegmy kind of nasal drip going, and then you get nauseated and sick to your stomach because the nicotine, really depletes your stomach lining.
Have you done that once?
What?
The puking after smoking?
Actually, maybe more than once. It's not direct. I don't know. I can say one is probably directly from smoking because it was definitely like a nicotine sick to the stomach.
We can come back to puking in a moment. Let's talk to Mark in Nevada. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
K-Talk.
Hey, not a first-time caller, but a listener. Hey, that caller you had, the last caller or caller before that, it's like, hey, man, you got to lay out the chimichanga or the weed, man, and Molly.
Molly.
I think you said it Marley.
Marley?
Yeah, Marley.
No woman, no cry.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, I hear him calling every day, and he's funny.
He is funny. Some people can. He's one of those callers that some people can't stand, and
this
other people
Barack Obama, this animal.
That's pretty good impression.
Animal, Barack, Mohammed.
The problem is he's a one-note caller. It's rare that he'll call about something
Marley.
else. All right, Mark, I think you're about
you have to
out.
take that hat off, man, and burn those records, man, and stop smoking the weed.
Hey, it's not weed.
I don't know that he's like a huge reggae fan. He's just from the island.
I'll have to ask. Thanks for the call, Mark. All right, you're repeating your jokes now.
Yeah, chimichanga. I don't know that chimichangas are popular in Jamaica or the islands or whatever.
Aren't
he's
the
from
chimichangas I'm thinking of churros.
They're also Mexican,
right?
Yeah,
but what is the chimichanga? Is that like
it's just a
chicken and cheese?
Burrito. I mean, it's like with sauce on it or something like
that. Just to be clear, Ralph from New Jersey is originally from the Philippines.
Yeah.
So jokes about Mexican food don't really apply.
Beans and rice might kind of cross over and apply there.
I don't know. I've never been to the Philippines, but it's a long way from Mexico. Right. I'll tell you that. So that's where he's from, and he supports Donald Trump, which doesn't. Just because you support Donald Trump doesn't mean that you don't smoke weed, but I suspect a lot of the people supporting Donald Trump do not smoke weed.
Right.
So I wouldn't go so far as to jump to any conclusions about what Ralph's habits are, but that would make an interesting question for the next time Ralph calls in, is what sort of drugs does Ralph do? Is he a complete straight edge? Does he drink? Or what's the deal? Toll-free number 8. We should ask more about Ralph.
He probably doesn't do anything. He would probably suggest that if you do, you're an animal.
Maybe so. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Breathalyzers. More coming up.
Fellas, are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Been fantasizing about surprising your lover with an adventurous new toy or adult movie? Well, here's an offer you won't be able to resist. Go to adamandeve.com, and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. But that's not all. Oh, no. When you select your one item at 50% off, you'll also receive 3 free adult DVDs for a little inspiration. Plus, a free extra gift so sensual, we can't mention it on the radio. And to top it all off, we'll even throw in free shipping on your entire order. And no, we're not teasing. So check out adamandeve.com today for this special offer. Get 50% off one item when you type BABE33 for the offer code upon checkout. When you do, you'll get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. Just use offer code BABE33 at adamandeve.com.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $16 lower at $1,274 per ounce, and silver is 18 cents lower at $17.37 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $669 US. Roberts & Roberts has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free. Coming up, why is it that managers kill the best parts of working at a job? There's not that much that's great about working at a job, so I'd like to hear what that story is. Johnson's got it for us. We'll tell you about it here, but we're still talking about your rights, and specifically the rights of young people who don't know their rights, which is a hard place to be for a lot of people. The cops will take advantage of you because if you don't know your rights, then you better well expect somebody's going to try to strip you of them. And the police are professionals at doing this. They've been trained to intimidate. And the young lady in Grosse Isle Township, Michigan, her name is Casey Guthrie. She's a high school senior. She's now suing the police over breathalyzer tests that were administered to her and her friends. She was a passenger in a car. Cop demanded she take a breathalyzer because she's under the age of 21. And apparently, by the law, he's legally allowed to do that. There is a law that allows the police to breathalyze people under the age of 21 just because they suspect that they're under the age of 21. Not even they suspect they're drinking, just period. See someone under the age of 21, give them a breathalyzer.
Right.
And so that's what the suit is all about. The government bureaucrat that is a town supervisor says there's no benefit to underage drinking or drug use. What's the benefit to, if there's no benefit to underage drinking or drug use, what's the benefit to overage drinking? What's the benefit?
Right.
The benefit is
enjoyment.
Right, that you alter your state of consciousness.
Quiet enjoyment, which is a right.
Well, sometimes people who are drunk aren't very quiet.
Okay, fine.
But
well, then they also tend to start to be violating rights. I mean, quiet enjoyment is your right. Not quiet enjoyment is not necessarily your right.
Correct. If your rights interfere with the rights of others, if your quiet becomes unquiet, and then the other person's enjoyment is no longer enjoyable,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. So let me go on here. There's a little bit more to the story. From Michigan, the Detroit Free Press, the bureaucrat says this is an ordinance to protect both minors and the community at large. Loftus, that's the bureaucrat, also defended Detective Kenneth Pelland, who's named as a defendant in the lawsuit. He's the officer who wrote Casey the ticket, saying, quote, Detective Ken Pelland is very experienced as a police officer. He runs our DARE program. He's one of the founders of Sobriety Court. I have every confidence in Detective Pelland's reasonable enforcement of our township ordinances. I'm going to stand with Detective Pelland on this until I'm convinced otherwise. Under Michigan's minor in possession law, it's a civil infraction for a person under 21 years of age to refuse to take a breath test when asked to do so by a police officer. The fine is $100. Offenders are also ordered to participate in alcohol awareness programs and take random breathalyzer tests. Casey, who's got a 3.75 GPA, says this is unlawful. Her lawsuit isn't novel. Over the past decade in Michigan, judges have struck down warrantless breathalyzer tests 3 times, most recently in 2007 when U.S. District Court Judge David Lawson struck down a state law that allowed the police to force pedestrians under the age of 21 to take a breathalyzer without first obtaining a search warrant. So it sounds like she's got some pretty solid legal footing here, with similar cases already having had success at the federal courts. In a 32-page opinion, the judge concluded the state law violated the Fourth Amendment, but his ruling didn't apply to drivers of a motor vehicle. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of 2 women, ages 18 and 19, who had attended high school graduation parties and were pressured into taking breath tests even though neither had been drinking. In one case, local police showed up at the 18-year-old's house at 4 a.m., woke up her family, and demanded that she take a breath test, noting that her refusal to do so would be considered unlawful. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Cops pounding on your door at 4 in the morning, demanding that your daughter wake up and take a breathalyzer test? The teenager took the test, which registered a .00.
Wow, they let that happen. I would be like, you go away, you come back with a warrant.
That's because you know your rights.
Right.
These people don't know these things. People have to learn the hard way.
At 4 in the morning, I'd been like, I will be outside your house at 4 in the morning with a megaphone.
Right. Now, look, I'm no attorney, but it's my understanding you don't even have to answer the door for these cops.
Right.
If they're not pounding with a warrant in their hands, they don't have the right to come in, which means that everything you're doing is by consent.
If they're pounding on your door at 4 in the morning, guess what? They don't have the right to be there, period. Because if they're showing up at 4 in the morning and they want, like, if they have the right to enter your home and they're showing up at 4 in the morning, I guarantee you they aren't knocking.
Well, that's not true. The FBI did knock when it was 6 in the morning here.
Okay. 6 in the morning is a little different than 4 in the morning. But,
no, it's not.
Well, not
They're
for you.
They're expecting you to be asleep.
Yeah, but
most people
not
are asleep
you,
at that time.
No, there are a lot of people.
Elderly people are awake at 6 in the morning, and people who work
and so are normal adults tend
really
to get
early
up at 6
shift
in the morning.
jobs. Early shift workers are.
There are a lot of people who work 9 a.m. jobs who
and
are
they're getting up
at 6
at
in the morning. Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of morning people that get up and they work out and then they shower, they make their breakfast, and then maybe they have an hour commute.
See, I don't consider it to be morning if the sun's not up.
The sun is definitely up.
I guess
the sun rises at like 4 a.m. here.
This time it was dark when they came.
Well, yeah, because it was several months ago. It was March.
Yeah. Anyway, this
early March.
Well, we don't know what time of year this was, but regardless, it was 4 a.m. The teenager took the test, registered a .00 because she was not drunk. Lawson heard a similar case in 2003 when he struck down a Bay City breathalyzer ordinance. Following that decision, the ACLU sent letters or emails to 425 city, village, and university attorneys advising them to urge their local law enforcement agencies to stop forcing minors to take unconstitutional breathalyzer tests. So even though these laws have been overturned twice in 2 different cities in Michigan, even though the ACLU took the time to send letters to every city in Michigan to say, hey, if you've got one of these ordinances on the books, it's losing in court. You probably shouldn't continue to enforce this because if you do, we're going to sue you every single time. But yet, they keep doing it. If Casey's lawsuit is any indication, the tests keep coming. The tests, this has already been dealt with, says Rataj, the attorney. He wants his client's ticket dismissed and a ruling to, quote, make cops get search warrants before they get kids to blow on a breathalyzer. Yeah. This really just goes to show that it doesn't matter what the courts say even. the ACLU contacted 400 plus cities, villages, universities, and said, hey, this is illegal. You may have an illegal ordinance on the books. Do you want to keep losing lawsuits? Do you want to have to pay higher insurance rates? Because for the most part, even though the officers themselves won't have any kind of liability, if the city does end up losing the suit, their insurance rates will go up. They pay a certain amount of money every year to insure themselves against lawsuits.
Right.
Meaning that there are, like the Robin Hood suit here in Keene, where the city government sued activists like me for filling people's parking meters.
Right.
They hired professional private attorneys to take that suit.
Right.
The city did. And the way they tend to do that is with these insurance policies. So the insurer, okay, yeah, we'll pay for the suit, but if you keep getting sued over this, we're going to have to raise your rates.
Right.
And so there is, to some extent, that insurance situation can keep cities in line to some extent if they are worried about their rates going up. But, of course, they can always raise taxes and pay for the extra rates that way. So it's just really sad because you're told that this whole checks and balances thing works. This is one of the things they teach you in government school.
They teach you. They brainwash you into believing.
Right. The judicial branch checks the legislative branch.
There are checks and balances, yeah.
The judicial branch checks the executive branch. And then, that's what they claim. And when you look at the system at a cursory glance, it appears as though that's what's happening. Oh, yeah, here's a lawsuit where the federal government overturned this ordinance as unconstitutional. See, the system works. But you've got other towns who continue to enforce the same exact ordinance.
And now there's this thing where, the president just writes a law? Like, what's that, the signing thing?
Executive orders?
The executive orders.
Those aren't laws.
But they're basically treated kind of like laws.
The executive order is a way for sort of an administrative order for the executive branch.
Right.
So Clinton or Bush or whoever, they have certain things they can legally do without permission of Congress, but for the most part, the executive order would just be to tell the DEA to do something or to tell some other executive branch to do or not do something, is my understanding.
Right.
I mean, there's some pretty outrageous executive orders out there, but how much of it would actually stand up in court, I don't know. But that's, again, comes back to it where the government just does whatever they want until they finally get told they can't do it by the courts. And then when they finally get told they can't do it, there's really not any kind of penalty for them. Or as we're finding out here, other governments who weren't told directly by the courts, who are doing similar things, just keep doing it.
Right.
Because they haven't received the order from the courts. So even though they could receive an order like that, well, screw it. We can keep writing tickets until some 17-year-old that knows their rights decides to stand up for themselves and actually, refuse the breathalyzer, and then knows enough to find an attorney who's willing to take the case. So how long this has been going on for in Michigan, I have no idea. How many teenagers have been victimized by this? It must be countless. Hour number 3 is on the way here. Management. You've got a story, Johnson, about how being a manager or managers ruin the best part about working at a job. And you can share your thoughts with us on Free Talk Live.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of the year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose an objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice, $50,000 apiece. Learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.27 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,274 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $675. Antiwar.com reports the ceasefire between Afghanistan and Pakistan is holding at the Khyber Pass border after deadly gunfights last week that killed at least 4, and which continue to leave thousands of people stranded on either side of the disputed border. Negotiations do not seem to be making any progress either, with the two nations ending a full day of talks on Monday without anything resembling an agreement resulting from them. Pakistani officials came out of the talks, however, reiterating their intention to build the border fence. Afghanistan and the U.S. occupation forces there have been pressuring Pakistan for years to control the border, and Pakistani officials believe that fences and gates will improve their control over traffic back and forth. Pakistani officials even tried to be amicable about it, building the fencing some 30 meters into Pakistani territory, at least by Pakistani reckoning, and that's the problem. The 1893 deal between Afghanistan and Britain, which defines the de facto border, is roundly rejected by Afghan officials, who insist that the real border is dramatically further south at the Indus River, and that Afghanistan actually spans a large portion of Pakistan as well. So when Pakistani government forces came to build the fencing, the Afghans started shooting, and the border patrols quickly got into open combat. With nothing resolved, it remains to be seen what happens when construction crews return. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports prosecutors and defense attorneys wrapped up their closing arguments Monday in the trial of Baltimore police officer Caesar Goodson, who has been charged in the death of Freddie Gray last year. Goodson is the officer who drove the transport van following Gray's arrest on April 12, 2015, during which medical investigators say the 25-year-old sustained a severe spinal cord injury that would ultimately lead to his death a week later. Prosecutors have argued that Goodson drove in a rough manner that allowed Gray to be tossed around inside the van, unbuckled. In fact, prosecutors argued that Goodson actually intended to injure Gray, knowing the chances of harm were high for a handcuffed, shackled arrestee who was not buckled into a seatbelt, and failed on at least 4 opportunities to secure him as per department policy. Prosecutors also alleged that Goodson denied Gray medical help when he needed it, which is also a violation of the department's procedural rules. Judge Barry Williams will now decide the case, not a jury, because Goodson elected for a bench trial. His verdict is scheduled for Thursday. Goodson is charged with second-degree murder in Gray's death, but 2 medical experts called by the defense questioned the official manner of death: homicide. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday widened the ability of prosecutors to use evidence obtained by police during an unlawful stop against a defendant in court in a case involving a Utah man who a narcotics detective found carrying illegal drugs. The 5-3 decision threw out a lower court's ruling that key evidence against Edward Streiff, convicted of methamphetamine possession and a related drug charge, was inadmissible because an officer obtained it in violation of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment ban on unreasonable searches and seizures. 3 of the court's liberal justices dissented, saying the decision gave too much power to the police at the expense of individual rights. Liberal Justice Stephen Breyer joined the court's 4 conservatives in the ruling, written by Justice Clarence Thomas. In a blistering dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote that while Streiff is white, it is no secret that people of color are disproportionate victims of this type of scrutiny, adding the court today holds that the discovery of a warrant for an unpaid parking ticket will forgive a police officer's violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Following the news this week that recording artist and industry magnate Bob Dylan would be laying off 2,000 workers from his Muscatine, Iowa songwriting factory in an effort to streamline his music-making operations, The Onion spoke with veteran factory worker Travis Felton, who received a pink slip earlier today.
I've been working on the lyric assembly line for 25 years now. Punch in each and every morning, make sure the words are complex and poetic. And yesterday, the foreman calls me into his office to tell me that the company is reducing headcount. They're giving the whole rhyming section the boot. What Mr. Dillon and the other suits don't understand is that here in Muscatine, songwriting is all we have. And we've been doing the best damn Dylan songs in the world for over 50 years, and now they're trying to take that away from us. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Well, I guess I could see if they're hiring over at the Tom Petty factory in Hurstville. Lord knows I hoped it'd never come to that.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind as we launch into the third hour of the program. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And Johnson.
Johnson, you wanted to share a story with us about managers.
Yes.
And how it is, according to, what's the source?
This was, I believe, Cyblog again.
Cyblog.
My favorite source.
As in psychology.
Yes.
The managers, how they ruin the best part about working at a job.
That's right.
All right, tell me about it.
Well, the first question is, of course, what is the most important aspect of your job? Well,
fun.
Meaningfulness.
Oh, okay. If you could have a job that was fun, I think that would be the most important aspect.
Maybe, but actually I think a lot of people, fun wears off pretty quickly, and they want something that's meaningful on top of being fun. You know?
That makes sense. That you're making a difference in the world.
Right.
Okay.
So, there's lots of studies that have shown that meaningfulness is the most important aspect of work, even more important than pay, rewards, promotion, or working conditions. Psychologists have found though, that workers make no mention of their bosses when talking about what makes their work meaningful to them. The only way management influenced meaningfulness at work was by destroying it. The authors wrote, our research showed that the quality of leadership received virtually no mention when people described meaningful moments at work, but poor management was the top destroyer of meaningfulness.
Okay.
For the research, 135 people in 10 very different occupations were interviewed. They were asked, what's the point of doing this job? Meaningful work has 5 qualities the authors found. 1. Self-transcendent. Individuals tend to experience their work as meaningful when it matters to others more than just to themselves. In this way, meaningful work is self-transcendent.
So if your customers are happy, you're transcending yourself, you're making a difference in someone else's life, and any kind of work can have that factor, I think. It just depends on... I think it really more depends on the view of the worker, the individual, because a lot of people have jobs they hate, and there are yet still people that they can affect in those jobs. So like a routine job like bagger at a grocery store, you are having an effect on the people that are coming through that line, the way you treat them, the smile on your face.
How you bag their groceries. If you throw a can of tomato sauce on top of their bread, they're not going to be too thrilled, you know?
Exactly. Bad bagging technique could affect somebody, how they feel when they get home. Your eye contact, the smile on your face can have an effect on the customer right there and how they feel for their day. But a lot of people would hate a job that was repetitive and routine like that, even though they still have that opportunity to transcend themselves if that's what they feel that they can do, if they don't feel restricted or hateful or angry. A great example of this was somebody who, I don't know what his issue was, but he looked a little slow. Let's say that, working at one of the local grocery stores. But, man, he loved being a bagger. Boy, he made some comment to me about, I said something nice to him about how your day was going or whatever. And he made some comment to me about how much he loves his job, bagging groceries. And that's great. For him, he's experiencing that. He's experiencing making people happy, whereas somebody else might just be down in the dumps all day in their job.
That dovetails right into the next one. Work is,
I haven't read this list, by the way. I don't know what
Number 2 is poignant. People often find their work to be full of meaning at moments associated with mixed, uncomfortable, or even painful thoughts and feelings, not just a sense of unalloyed joy and happiness. So if work is poignant, that helps make it meaningful.
All right.
3, episodic. A sense of meaningfulness arises in an episodic rather than a sustained way. It seems that no one can find their work consistently meaningful, but rather that an awareness of that work is meaningful arises at peak times that are more generative of strong experiences.
So happening often enough to be noticeable?
Right.
The idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, not necessarily completely routine. You want...
You can't make a life-shattering difference in people's lives every day at work.
Right, yeah, generally. Exactly. Reflective. Meaningfulness is rarely experienced in the moment, but rather in retrospect and on reflection when people are able to see their completed work and make connections between their achievements and a wider sense of life meaning.
Yeah. I think that's just true of life in general. I mean, it's hard to sometimes see in the moment exactly what it means for what you're doing, whereas later on, hindsight being 20/20, you can realize, oh, I'm glad I did that because of something or other. It could have seemed like something very routine, but then later on, let's say you help someone with something. Like when I was working at Kmart in the electronics department, every now and then there would be like an elderly lady who would come in, and it happened to a couple different with a couple different ladies, and she would say like, oh, can you come install this VCR for me? And, of course, they would offer to pay to do that. So on my own time after work, I'd go over to some old lady's house and install her VCR for her.
So there was no company policy against that. That's lucky.
Not that I'd known of. No one told me anything about that. So, no, I don't think that there was.
Okay.
And, it could have been one of those times where she recommended me to someone who became a great client later on or whatever, where you didn't know in the moment that helping the old lady with the VCR was going to be a big deal. But not only did you make this lady happy, you made her so happy she recommended you to somebody else who became a huge client of yours, right? So you don't see those things happening as they're happening.
And then the last one here is personal. Work that is meaningful is often understood by people not just in the context of their work, but also in the wider context of their personal life experiences. Professor Katie Bailey, the study's first author, said, "In experiencing work as meaningful, we cease to be workers or employees and relate as human beings, reaching out in a bond of common humanity to others. For organizations seeking to manage meaningfulness, the ethical and moral responsibility is great, since they are bridging the gap between work and personal life." And this was first published in the MIT Sloan Management Review journal.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it.
So what they were saying, though, is that managers make work less meaningful.
Right.
Or have no effect.
These things. They can basically, get in and make managerial decisions that take these things away.
Right.
By making rules and making strange things that can, affect... It's almost like, when regulations divert the market. It's the same thing when basically some of the rules and decisions managers can make, if they're very poor, can take away these meaningful experiences.
What was interesting was what you said at the beginning was that the managers aren't even getting credit when they're doing the right thing.
Right.
So either the manager is hurting the experience or having no effect on the experience. Because no one is saying, when asked about what makes your job meaningful, no one's saying, Jim, my manager, he just makes it worth coming to work every single day. No one really says that.
Right. I'm sure some people might like their manager.
Sure.
But that's probably as far as it goes.
Yeah, I would say that I've liked some of my bosses in radio over time, but it wasn't the reason I came to work.
Right.
It wasn't why I took the job. It wasn't. I guess I totally agree with the perspective.
Right.
Here. Now, maybe there's some manager out there who's thinking, you know what? That's not true in my company. I make things the best for my employees here, and they need me.
Right.
We'd love to hear from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Johnson, have you been a manager before?
Sort of, but not really. And I was very aware, every time I've been in a managerial position, that it's like I've been forced to make decisions that I didn't really want to make. I like to let people, do whatever they need to do, in terms of
I don't like telling people what to do.
And so, unfortunately, I've never been in a managerial position where it's not like I've had managers over me, like micromanaging, so a lot of times I've not had the freedom to, let people just sort of do what they will, and also sometimes you have to, when you are in that managerial position, there's also a responsibility where it comes down to, it's like, okay, well, I need the work now, and it's like, then you kind of have to make some decisions that are not necessarily life affirming when you need to, make somebody give you what needs to be done.
So I have a related story about robots and rights.
Yes.
Because eventually there was a prediction headline today that in 20 years there'll be more robots than there will human beings on Earth. And so are we going to have a situation where robots are our managers, or the reverse, where we're managing a bunch of robots, or both?
Right.
And, what would it be like if your manager was a machine? The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. And does that machine have rights? In Europe, they're talking about robotic persons, electronic persons. What's that mean?
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely risk-free with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-719-9349. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% risk-free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-719-9349. That's 1-800-719-9349. 1-800-719-9349.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
If you're looking for work, or even if you're not, here's an innocent mistake you really want to avoid. Never return calls before listening to your voicemail. Your wireless phone sends calls you didn't answer into voicemail, and it shows you phone numbers for calls you missed. Important. Don't call back callers you missed until you have first listened to your messages. Otherwise, you frustrate people who bothered to leave messages by asking them to repeat a message they just left as your voicemail greeting instructed them to. If you're a job applicant, this alone could be a deal killer. And even if you're not, there are few things you can convey to someone that are as fundamentally maddening as, "I didn't hear you." With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Bitcoin. It is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. It's the most valuable, arguably, in the entire world. That's right now at around $690 or $670 per Bitcoin. You can learn more about it. Maybe you're a newbie when it comes to Bitcoin. Well, go to bitcoin.com, and there's a great little intro video that you can watch there, and all kinds of useful details about what Bitcoin is and why it's so important. It really is super important to me, because it takes the power of money out of the hands of the state for the first time in generations, in our lifetimes. You can go to bitcoin.com and learn more about Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. Europe has a plan. According to the story from Reuters out of Germany, Europe's growing army of robot workers could be classed as electronic persons, and their owners liable to pay Social Security for them if the European Union adopts a draft plan to address the realities of a new industrial revolution. This is just one of the most strange stories, especially at this point in the game. I didn't really think that we would be talking about whether or not robots would be considered people this soon, but apparently it's happening. Robots are being deployed in even greater numbers in factories and taking on tasks such as personal care or surgery, raising fears over unemployment, wealth inequality, and alienation. Their growing intelligence, pervasiveness, and autonomy requires rethinking everything from taxation to legal liability, a draft European Parliament motion dated May 31st suggests. Some robots are even taking on a human form. Visitors to the world's biggest travel show in March were greeted by a lifelike robot developed by Toshiba in Japan and were helped by another made by France's Aldebaran Robotics. However, Germany's VDMA, which represents companies such as automation giant Siemens and robot maker KUKA, says the proposals are too complicated and too early. German robotics and automation turnover rose 7% to 12.2 billion euros last year, and the country is keen to keep its edge in the latest industrial technology. KUKA is the target of takeover by China's Medea. The draft motion called on the European Commission to consider, quote, that at least the most sophisticated autonomous robots could be established as having the status of electronic persons with specific rights and obligations. Now, just think about what that actually means. the most sophisticated autonomous robots. Right now, we don't have the most sophisticated robots in the world. Robots that tend to exist tend to do specific tasks. They're
like a Roomba.
A Roomba is a good example. The vacuuming robot,
right? Or a Scuba,
or one of the
floor mopping robot,
right? And even the Roomba,
a Mobot,
even the Scuba,
a lawn mowing robot.
That exists. That's a real thing.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
These things that you're naming there, Johnson, are even, I guess, more. They're not as special. Okay, I don't know how to describe it.
Okay, there's a hamburger making robot. Maybe that's a more specialized one that you would think of.
Like, I guess what I mean is, like, the Roomba is specialized in that it specializes in vacuuming, but it does it in over a larger area than like an assembly line robot, which is just grabbing a part from one bin and putting it onto a thing, grabbing a part, putting it onto the thing. So the Roomba's got a little more intelligence to it. It's like scanning the room, sending out radar or something like that, or infrared. I'm not sure what they use, but determining where to go.
The hamburger robot is its own assembly line, but yeah.
So, and we're going to see more of that too. I was talking with a guy who was visiting Keene today about robotics and robots serving fast food and things like that.
Soon self-driving cars. Those are robots.
Well, and also, where do you draw the line on what a robot is, right? So, I mean, obviously the classic humanoid robot looks like a robot to us, but a big device that is an entire burger assembly line sort of encased within itself is also a robot,
right?
Where the thing could be very, very large, maybe as large as a bathroom or something like that,
right.
And on one end you've got the stock with the buns and you've got the burgers in the cooker,
right.
And then on the other end is the part that spits it out to the customer, and then there's a bunch of stuff going on inside there. People aren't going to see that robot as the same as the robot that has two eyeballs and looks at you.
Right.
But in theory, the math and the programming behind them could be at the same or a similar level.
Right.
So how are they going to determine which robots are most sophisticated and autonomous? I guess the word autonomous could suggest that they aren't connected to something else, but it's that it has self-government to some sort of significant degree.
Because any robot could be programmed to say, I am self-aware.
Have you seen...
But they're not necessarily. It's just being programmed to say, I am self-aware, as opposed to actually simulating a human brain and saying I'm self-aware because they're having a conversation that has,
Have you seen the Westworld promo?
The new Westworld?
Yeah.
Or like old? No.
The new one.
No.
So
I didn't know there was a new one.
So HBO is taking Westworld, which for listeners that don't know, and I've actually never seen the movie. Have you?
Yeah, I have actually.
Was it good?
A long time ago. I don't really remember it very well, but yeah.
Did they deal with issues in the? Well, if you don't remember well, you might not be able to answer the question.
I don't really remember very well.
Were you a kid?
It just seems like a long time ago.
Okay.
I don't even remember.
Well, so I don't know what was it. I know Michael Crichton was involved with Westworld. Right. Was it based on a book, or did he write it specifically?
I believe it's based on a book. I believe it's based on a book. Yeah.
So, this new show that HBO is there. So they're taking the Westworld movie and adapting that, or the book, or whatever, adapting it into a television series.
Right.
And of course, here we are now in 2016, where robots are they're a reality. I mean, they're in our lives in a way that they weren't in the 70s when that movie had originally come out. And we're starting to have to deal with, as this article is showing, the question of when or if or should robots have rights? When should robots be treated as other people? They're talking about making them robotic or electronic persons here, and we'll get more into that in a moment. But it looks like this show is going to kind of address some of those issues like transhumanism or whatever, and how will we interact with robots? What will it mean for a robot to be sentient? How do you tell the difference? As they make a point in the promo, if I'm a robot, well, if you can't tell whether I'm a robot, does it really matter? Is what one of the characters says, or something like that. And first of all, the show looks like it's going to be fantastic. It's going to have Ed Harris in it.
I imagine, yeah.
Anthony Hopkins is going to be in this. It's going to have a big cast, and it looks very well produced. And it's for those that don't know, it's a Western, sort of like a Western world inhabited by robots that people can go and like a theme park almost pay to go into, I guess.
I think the robots look like people, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
That's the idea. is that you're in the Wild West, but you're in this theme park, and you can supposedly do whatever you want. You want to shoot somebody? That's fine because they're a robot. It's no big deal. Or is it?
Right.
Right. And so I guess they're going to get into some of this. Plus, it looks like an evil corporation doing naughty things as well. So who knows what that aspect of the story is going to be. But HBO's got a teaser up for this right now. If you're interested in robots and rights, and if you like sci-fi, I think this is going to be a good one. But let's talk more about the idea of electronic persons.
Right.
Because I'm wondering, what you think about this, Johnson. You're a tech guy. You're into video games and all artificial intelligence. Can robots be people? The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Should they have rights like you and I? And at what point should they get those rights? 855-450-FREE.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
There's nothing more enticing and intoxicating than the finest meat cooking on an open flame. Freeze-dried meat from newharvest.com is U.S. grown, 100% all-natural with no extra fillers. Just grass-fed beef and free-range chicken guaranteed to stay fresh and delicious. Add New Harvest freeze-dried meats to your current food storage. You'll buy direct from the factory, not a third party, ensuring the best price and the highest quality. See all our products at newharvestfoods.com. That's newharvestfoods.com.
Free Talk Live.
I think you guys should be encouraging people to drop the drugs, drop the alcohol, and live a straight life.
Why?
And that's freedom.
Well,
that is freedom.
How can you say it? I mean, maybe it's freedom for you, but what if I enjoy altering my consciousness?
Well, I think it's sad.
Why?
It's a sad existence when people have to be addicted to drugs and alcohol.
Oh, I'm not addicted.
Now you're assuming addiction.
Alcohol, we're talking about marijuana, we're talking about drug use in general.
What about caffeine? Are we talking about caffeine?
I'm talking about something that, what you just said, is mind-altering.
So caffeine certainly is.
If you have a chocolate candy bar and there's caffeine in it, it doesn't get you high. You know what the difference
well, wait a minute.
Christy, I'm sensitive to caffeine, and I can tell you 2 Diet Cokes will make me a very angry man.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait
on the calendar. Now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What
am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 641-552-5046. That's 641-552-5046.
Free Talk Live into you. Dial in toll free. Bring up whatever's on your mind. We're talking about robot rights. Yeah, that's going to be a discussion that is not going to be solved for quite a long time, I suspect, but the discussions have begun on the topic. And with you in studio tonight, it's Ian
and Johnson.
Don't forget, you can join us in real life at the HempFest, nhempfest.com. It's happening at Rogers Campground August 25th through the 28th. So if you're bummed that Free Talk Live isn't at the Porcupine Freedom Festival this week, well, we're going to be at the very same campground having a lot of fun with the HempFest crowd coming up in about 2 months from now. It's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to it. And HempFest is basically a party for the entire weekend. As my understanding, it's basically nonstop music.
Right. Are you broadcasting from there?
That's the plan. Hopefully we'll be able to, because there's going to be nonstop music outside of the broadcast room. Yeah. So it's going to be likely, it'll be a loud broadcast will be my
also, you may want to rent a room air conditioner for that, because it's going to be later in the year, and you're probably going to have to close the windows.
It could be hotter.
You might want to
colder.
Consider.
It just depends. It's New England. I mean, sometimes dude, I've seen trees changing color in mid-August before because it's cooled down up
here. If you get lucky, I mean, it just seems like
we are going to be in the White Mountains, so it's always a little.
It's true.
Cooler.
I'm just saying you might want to prepare, because it starts to get. August is the hot. Anywhere you are in the Northeast, August is the hottest month of the year. I mean,
is that right?
Yeah, it's not June or July. You would think that it would be, because that's when the sun is, but it takes a while for it to ramp up that collective just continued heat. So the hottest month of the year, and typically your high, you can look at it on your own electric bill, when your highest average bills are going to be, is in August.
I'll take your word for it. I've never noticed that. I've always considered August to be the end of summer in New England.
It is. Even
though summer doesn't end until
the end of July, beginning
September.
of August. So early August, end of July is where you're going to get the hottest months. Once you start to get towards the end of August, that's when it starts to cool down, and then September, it's like, okay, you can pretty much count on it to not be too hot.
I'm expecting, again, it's hard to expect anything in New England. The weather changes here all the time.
Okay.
But
it's pretty consistent. I feel like it's pretty consistent. Like, at least the summers are a little bit more. I mean,
you
can get an early fall. You can certainly get an early fall, but I'm used to, Connecticut and New Hampshire, not that different. Maine and New Hampshire, definitely not that different. And it's generally, that's the weather.
Well, we're talking about northern New England. Rogers Campground is in
Maine
the
is more north of here.
northern part of New Hampshire, and certainly you've lived in New England longer than I have, but I've been here almost a decade now, and I've seen August be all over the map. I've seen it be hot. August, I've seen it be cold.
It's what I'm saying specifically is the beginning of August. Okay. It's going to be.
We're talking about the end of August here.
Oh, that's interesting.
August 25th. Through
that
August
might not
28th.
be too bad, actually. So, I'm with you.
I would agree with you. If it was the beginning of August, it would be hot.
There is a possibility that it could be hot, though, at the end of August.
Definitely. No, there is.
September sometimes is sweltering, but you are definitely in all over the map territory.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, you are definitely square in the middle of, it could be really cold, it could be sweltering.
Although that said, all of my experience with August in New Hampshire is in the southern part of New Hampshire, and this will be the northern part in late August. So I suspect it'll likely be, it'll probably be very cool during the nights, just like the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and then a mixed bag during the day would be my guess.
Yep.
But either way, it's going to be nice. The daytimes will be nice.
Right.
And as far as the air conditioning unit, I'm not going to haul an AC unit up there. So if it's hot, we're just going to be hot.
Yep.
And it's going to be a lot of fun because it's HempFest, and I've never been to NH HempFest before. It's its third year. It's been called the one of the top 8 hemp fests in all of the United States. So even though it's a newer hemp fest, it's already getting some recognition nationally. And we're going to be there broadcasting live Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. And I'm excited because it's going to be a new crowd. It's not going to be the libertarians necessarily who are going to be watching the show, who are going to be meeting. There's going to be a larger crowd expected than the Porcupine Freedom Festival. It's just going to be a fun psychedelic party all weekend, from what I understand. They've got I was at one of the meetings with the organizers, and they've got some hippie light guru wizard kind of guy who's going to be making some trippy area for people to walk through or whatever. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
So it'll be like a stoned version of Bill.
Yeah, and Bill might show up for all we know. You're talking about Bill with the laser at Porcfest. You know he's not going to Porcfest this year.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he's protesting the event over them kicking me and Free Talk Live out. So if you want to see Free Talk Live broadcast live, you do need to have a VIP ticket to get into the broadcast area. And the reason they made that decision was because it's expected to be a large event, and they just wanted to limit the amount of people that could go up into the broadcast room. So get your tickets at nhhempfest.com, August 25th through the 28th. Same great venue as Porcfest, different crowd, and it's going to be an opportunity to reach out to people about the ideas of liberty. So I'm super excited about that. I'll be running a tent, a booth this time around, so I think that's going to be fun. nhhempfest.com. We'll look forward to seeing you there. So back to the story here about Europe, where there's a draft motion in front of the European Commission to consider, quote, that at least the most sophisticated autonomous robots could be established as having the status of electronic persons with specific rights and obligations. So what does that exactly mean? What are the rights? What are the obligations that a robot would have? I mean,
do they owe a duty to the state?
There's discussion in here about taxing the robots.
Oh, that's what this is about. That makes a whole lot more sense.
Doesn't
now
it?
It becomes clear.
Yeah.
It's just a way to just back tax a corporation.
Yeah, that would be one way to look at it.
That's absolutely what they're doing, because they want to tax all of McDonald's hamburger flipping robots.
Think about
That's
that,
what they
right?
want to do.
That makes sense, because if McDonald's is saying, okay, well, you're raising the minimum wage, so now we're going to put in robot workers.
All of a sudden, the government is like going,
oh, crap.
We're going to lose all that tax revenue.
But that's just it. They're not going to lose that tax revenue because
not.
those people are going to get jobs doing other things.
Like cleaning the robots.
Or whatever. That's just the thing. People worry that, oh my God, what am I going to do? Right? I've been working at this job for so long, and now I'm being replaced by another human or a robot or whatever. What am I going to do? Well, there's always something that needs to be done in the world.
Right.
So, keep your eyes open, your ears open, look for new opportunities, doors and windows that are openable to you, and they'll appear.
Right.
There will be those opportunities. People's jobs have changed over the years, from going from the working in farms to working in factories to service jobs. And obviously still some people work in factories, but far fewer now because of automation.
Right.
And it's not like people are unemployed. There's new ideas. There's new concepts out there. But this would allow the government to then tax the people when they leave the jobs where they're replaced by robots, tax them at their next job, and tax their robot replacements.
Right.
So they'd get even more taxes with this concept. The motion suggested the creation of a register for smart autonomous robots, which would link each one to funds established to cover its legal liabilities.
Registration is chappy.
Have you seen that movie?
Have you?
No, it looks great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out.
I think you would really like it.
Patrick Schwarzkopf, managing director of the VDMA's Robotic and Automation Department, said, quote, that we could create a legal framework with electronic persons. That's something that could happen in 50 years, but not in 10 years. We think it would be very bureaucratic and would stunt the development of robotics. Yeah, most definitely. If you've got to register every single robot with the state and pay taxes for however many robots you have, that is certainly going to infringe on the development of that technology, or at the very least of its rollout in Europe. Maybe it wouldn't infringe on the development because they would just develop it in Japan or wherever else, China, where robots are acceptable and not overly bureaucratic and regulated. Going on here, he told reporters at the Automatica Robotics Trade Fair in Munich, while acknowledging a legal framework for self-driving cars would probably be needed sooner. The report added that robotics and artificial intelligence may result in a large part of the work done now by humans being taken over by robots, raising concerns about the future of employment and the viability of social security systems. And again, I think that stems from the belief that people will just have nothing to do. Like, my God, people are going to be out of work. We're going to need to support them with welfare. That's what these bureaucrats are suggesting.
Right.
But what do you think? Do robots have rights? That's what I want to get out of you coming up here, Johnson. Should robots have rights? And at what point should they receive those rights? Should Roomba get rights? Your little vacuum robot?
No.
855-450-FREE. What about Data from Star Trek? It's Free Talk Live.
Absolutely.
Fellas, are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Been fantasizing about surprising your lover with an adventurous new toy or adult movie? Well, here's an offer you won't be able to resist. Go to adamandeve.com, and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. But that's not all. Oh, no. When you select your one item at 50% off, you'll also receive 3 free adult DVDs for a little inspiration. Plus, a free extra gift so sensual, we can't mention it on the radio. And to top it all off, we'll even throw in free shipping on your entire order. And no, we're not teasing. So check out adamandeve.com today for this special offer. Get 50% off one item when you type BABE33 for the offer code upon checkout. When you do, you'll get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. Just use offer code BABE33 at adamandeve.com.
Hi, this is Ron Paul. I'm a former 22-year congressman and Republican presidential candidate. I'm here to tell you about something that just might save your lives. You never know when there will be another Katrina, an economic collapse, or a serious drought. We should all have a little food storage that will carry us through tough times. I'm going to tell you about a great way to do that. A U.S. company named Harvest Right has a kitchen appliance that can help you be prepared. It's a home freeze dryer. With the product, you can preserve the foods your family loves. And the best part is the food will last 25 years and still taste great. I've tried it and it's amazing. With a home freeze dryer from Harvest Right, you can literally freeze dry anything you eat, even things like ice cream. To learn more, call Harvest Right today at 800-594-4635 or go to harvestright.com. That's 800-594-4635 or harvestright.com.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Right now, you can dial in toll-free to join us on the radio in these remaining moments of Free Talk Live. Our number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. If you enjoy Free Talk Live and you want to help support the show, please become an amplifier for $5 a month. It makes a big difference for us when you do that. So go to amp.freetalklive.com. It's money that we can invest into Free Talk Live, using it to market the show to new radio stations. Currently, we're on over 170 AM and FM stations coast to coast. We've got satellite channels across a lot of the globe, And we also have internet abilities for people to listen online via podcast, via live streaming. And so we can spread more Free Talk Live.
Over speakers at Porcfest.
At Porcfest, yes. And hello to everyone there.
I actually wanted to mention something real quick. One of the things I just was perusing Facebook during the break and noticed one of the very smart things, sort of interesting thing that I saw somebody doing that's kind of started in Lancaster is that there are people up there that are renting out their homes.
Oh, really?
And so, people can go up there and rent a house for a week
and just crash there.
And it's cheaper than the hotel or doing it. It's cheaper. Smart. It's unbelievable. Then you have a whole
Airbnb?
house.
Is it an Airbnb?
Yeah, I guess it's like an Airbnb kind of thing. But you get some people together and split it and rent a house. I mean, you totally beat the camping, and you've got a house.
Get your own
bathroom.
Got
a kitchen, bathroom. Yeah. I mean, unbelievable.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's very smart.
So we were talking about robots, but anyway, if you want to support Free Talk Live, please go to join the AMP program. Use any major credit card through PayPal. Use Visa or MasterCard on our website. It makes a big difference when you do it. So please take the time and go to amp.freetalklive.com, amp.freetalklive.com. We've been talking about robots. In fact, the question of should they have rights and at what point should they get rights? I want to get your opinion on it, Johnson. But first, we'll go to Robert, who is, not Robert, Ra, calling from Alabama, listening
the sun god?
On WBHP. That's right. The God of the Sun is on the line with us here. Hello, Ra.
Hello, Ian and Johnson.
Hey there.
Good to be with you.
Thanks.
Hail be to you.
Go ahead.
Hey, I wondered, has anyone tonight brought up Isaac Asimov's laws of robotics?
No, but it's certainly relevant. Do you happen to have the what is it? Just a couple laws, just a couple of them, right?
Yeah,
there's not that many.
Yeah, there's three, and he actually added a previous 0 law, which is the first now.
All right.
But it's the later edit is a robot may not harm humanity or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm.
Ew. I don't like that.
So
the
first law after that is a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. The second law, a robot must obey the orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And law 3, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws.
How do you feel about this new Law 0?
Hello?
Hey, yeah, I can't really comment on that. I just saw it just now, and I haven't even digested it.
Well, I think it's important to point out that this is just one man's opinion.
Sure, but I mean, it's one man's opinion that has been discussed ad infinitum for a very long time and across many different channels.
It is going to have influence on how robots are created.
And the thing I think is despicable about that Law 0 is the difference between the other three and the first one is that the other three are all objective, whereas the first one is subjective. What the heck is humanity?
The 0 law, yes, that was my first impression.
Yeah, what is humanity? That is nonsense.
But that's really ancillary to my main point on the rights of robots. I thought that was an interesting topic. If laws, if no one, for the people that aren't aware of that, and that's been around since 1942. But the real thing to me is this just so much mirrors the whole concept of the corporate entity and its development through the 1800s in the U.S. legal system. And by that, I mean that these robots, until they are completely autonomous, I think, there's very little argument for granting them special rights because they are created and, most importantly, controlled by human beings. So even though they seem autonomous, they're still the man behind the curtain, just like with the corporate personhood. So that's my main parallel to it. And so I think humanizing robots in general is a bad idea, especially in terms of the legal system. But anyway, that's my opinion, and
Cool.
I hope that adds to the discussion.
Ra, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate it. Johnson, let's have you weigh in here on the idea of robots and rights. I mean, there's a difference, it seems,
not any existing robots,
between the Roomba and the fictional Data, the character from Star Trek, who is a robot. There's some episodes that do deal with these questions that were made 2 decades ago.
I'm very doubtful we're ever going to get to a Data-like robot. I think that the way
you're doubtful of that,
yes, because I don't think that the intelligence will ever work that way. Like Data seems to be
where he can learn.
Well, yeah, it seems to be software that can somehow learn. Maybe eventually, but I think that's extremely distant future.
Wasn't there an episode about him learning how to feel? Well?
That was a chip. He got an emotion chip.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. So
is it though?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll explain why. Emotions are absolutely essential to logic. If you think that you can make decisions without emotion, you're just wrong. Here's the thing. Emotions are essential to logic, because what if your decision is not walking off a cliff? This example is I'm probably going to do this injustice, but essentially you need to care about your own life in order to not make that decision. If it's meaningless to you, if there's no emotion involved, just walk off the cliff.
Okay. What's that have to do with a robot, though?
Well, if a robot doesn't have this type of,
self-preservation?
Right.
Well, that's easily programmable.
Not necessarily. It's not easily programmable. You have to take into account every single situation and program in an answer for that. Cliff, avoid cliff.
Okay, I see what you're
saying.
Fire,
avoid fire. Don't douse yourself in water. Don't plug yourself into a socket with your finger. Just crazy.
Yeah, but isn't it possible?
You have to take into account every situation. So to be a truly thinking robot, right, all that's just programming, right? That's not really thinking at that point. That's just responding to your environment. And that's not really thinking. In order to create a self-learning, self-autonomous, robot that's really thinking, it's going to have an emotional capacity to a certain extent in order to make decisions. There's better examples of this. Like, why would you're walking to a building. There's a red door and a blue door. Which door do you go through?
Whichever one opens. I don't know.
Neither of them are open. You have to open them yourself.
Have I been given instructions as to where I need to go?
No, Ian. You're walking up to a building. You need to get inside the building. You have an appointment inside the building. Which door do you go through?
It's a random choice.
Let's say just to make it not political, we'll say that the red door is on the left and the blue door is on the right. So, which door do you go through? You have to get in the building, Ian. What do you do? Okay, blue. See, you just picked. Now, how does the robot make that decision?
The same way I did, arbitrarily. It flips a coin. I don't know, whatever.
Was it totally arbitrary, though? Or do you have a preference for blue?
No, red's a fine color, too. I actually thought of red first, but then I went with blue.
Why did you go with blue?
I don't know.
Right. But it's not arbitrary. You know that it's not arbitrary.
It was arbitrary.
No, it wasn't. You know that you chose it for some reason or another because of a personal preference that exists in you somewhere. Well, you did not flip a coin. You did not run a logical program in your computer. You made a decision. That decision is based on something.
Unless I didn't make a decision and everything is predetermined, but that's another discussion.
Okay, that's a totally another discussion. But so there's that aspect, right? But I also don't think that type of robot that's so advanced. I think it's so beyond our current capabilities.
Well, yeah, duh, it's beyond our capabilities. But to say
here's
there
what
could
I think
never
is
be
within
a data.
reach. Here's what I think is what's going to be in reach much sooner is scanning a brain. All the cellular, taking an image, taking a physical three-dimensional image of a human brain. I think that's going to come a lot sooner. It's still probably in the distant future, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. That we completely image a human brain and then are able to run a simulation of that brain. And a simulation of that brain with a sufficiently advanced computer would be identical to the real thing because it would be able to make the decision-making, the same decision-making capabilities as the biological brain. They would just be simulated.
So are you arguing that the simulated brain would then have rights?
Then yes, absolutely.
Interesting. But what makes the simulated brain different from a robot? Consciousness. But how do you know that copying the brain will copy the consciousness?
Well, we don't necessarily know that until it happens, but the decision-making would be happening. It would certainly appear to be conscious, and it would be simulating the exact same decisions.
How do you know what's conscious and what's not? I wish we had more time, but this topic is just starting to come up.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $16 lower at $1,274 per ounce, and silver is 18 cents lower at $17.37 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $669 US. Roberts & Roberts has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Rebel Love Show is next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.27 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,274 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $675. Antiwar.com reports the ceasefire between Afghanistan and Pakistan is holding at the Khyber Pass border after deadly gunfights last week that killed at least 4, and which continue to leave thousands of people stranded on either side of the disputed border. Negotiations do not seem to be making any progress either, with the two nations ending a full day of talks on Monday without anything resembling an agreement resulting from them. Pakistani officials came out of the talks, however, reiterating their intention to build the border fence. Afghanistan and the U.S. occupation forces there have been pressuring Pakistan for years to control the border, and Pakistani officials believe that fences and gates will improve their control over traffic back and forth. Pakistani officials even tried to be amicable about it, building the fencing some 30 meters into Pakistani territory, at least by Pakistani reckoning, and that's the problem. The 1893 deal between Afghanistan and Britain, which defines the de facto border, is roundly rejected by Afghan officials, who insist that the real border is dramatically further south at the Indus River, and that Afghanistan actually spans a large portion of Pakistan as well. So when Pakistani government forces came to build the fencing, the Afghans started shooting and the border patrols quickly got into open combat. With nothing resolved, it remains to be seen what happens when construction crews return. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports prosecutors and defense attorneys wrapped up their closing arguments Monday in the trial of Baltimore police officer Caesar Goodson, who has been charged in the death of Freddie Gray last year. Goodson is the officer who drove the transport van following Gray's arrest on April 12, 2015, during which medical investigators say the 25-year-old sustained a severe spinal cord injury that would ultimately lead to his death a week later. Prosecutors have argued that Goodson drove in a rough manner that allowed Gray to be tossed around inside the van, unbuckled. In fact, fact, prosecutors argued that Goodson actually intended to injure Gray, knowing the chances of harm were high for a handcuffed, shackled arrestee who was not buckled into a seatbelt, and failed on at least 4 opportunities to secure him as per department policy. Prosecutors also alleged that Goodson denied Gray medical help when he needed it, which is also a violation of the department's procedural rules. Judge Barry Williams will now decide the case, not a jury, because Goodson elected for a bench trial. His verdict is scheduled for Thursday. Goodson is charged with second-degree murder in Gray's death, but 2 medical experts called by the defense questioned the official manner of death: homicide. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday widened the ability of prosecutors to use evidence obtained by police during an unlawful stop against a defendant in court in a case involving a Utah man who a narcotics detective found carrying illegal drugs. The 5-3 decision threw out a lower court's ruling that key evidence against Edward Streiff, convicted of methamphetamine possession and a related drug charge, was inadmissible because an officer obtained it in violation of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment ban on unreasonable searches and seizures. 3 of the court's liberal justices dissented, saying the decision gave too much power to the police at the expense of individual rights. Liberal Justice Stephen Breyer joined the court's 4 conservatives in the ruling, written by Justice Clarence Thomas. In a blistering dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote that while Streiff is white, it is no secret that people of color are disproportionate victims of this type of scrutiny, adding the court today holds that the discovery of a warrant for an unpaid parking ticket will forgive a police officer's violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. Raccoon leaders call for the loosening of garbage can lids. This is Doyle Redland reporting. In a 4 a.m. speech at the group's annual Washington, D.C. convention this morning, North American Raccoon Federation President Bristletail called upon homeowners to loosen the lids of their garbage cans, providing the ring-tailed mammals with greater access to discarded food scraps during nocturnal scavenging.
Every time you seal a standard 30-gallon garbage can, as many as 6 raccoons are forced to go without their necessary daily supply of congealed baked beans, rancid cottage cheese chunks, and moldy cantaloupe rinds.
The 26-pound varmint closed his speech with a stern warning that without raccoons, possums could take over the world. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome to the Rebel Love Show. We are a once-a-week broadcast from Manchester, New Hampshire, where we are pro-pot, pro-gun, and pro-coffee. You can find all of our content at rebelloveshow.com. I'm Ron Mathias.
And I am the Rebel Mistress.
And today, our special guest in studio is the New Hampshire Hempfest and Freedom Rally family. How's it going, guys?
What's up, guys? Yeah. We took a short break. We didn't do the show last week.
Yeah, we took a... Well, we did the episode before that, and the episode before that is normally a New Movers Party, which we always vacate, so we broke tradition.
And yeah, so it was a pretty good break. Our bachelor party was actually that weekend, and that was epic and great. Definitely it exceeded my expectations. I don't know. It was just great.
Big shout out to my best man, Daniel Kudrow. He did a fucking amazing job.
Yeah, he's the best man ever.
Yeah. And he's the best maid of honor, too.
He is the best maid of honor. Yeah. And as we keep going, I'm just realizing, like, the importance of family.
Best
and
maid of honor.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's great. He's done everything.
Yeah,
like, he's really helped me, like, with this wedding planning more than anybody.
That's beautiful.
And it's great. But yeah, it's really making me realize, like, like who my family is and what family is, and just bringing us all closer together. And I'm so thankful for just all of you guys, and getting to have our wedding at HempFest, because HempFest is like one of the largest events in New Hampshire history. It's going to be one of the largest events. So it's awesome to be a part of that, and it just makes us even more excited.
Awesome. Yeah, making history is awesome. Making history this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. So besides
also,
that,
there's a lot of the piece of history today I'd like to share, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, go for it.
That the two of you were engaged at Porcfest today a year ago.
Yeah, it was literally 1 year ago today.
Yeah.
Congratulations, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually wearing the same shirt I wore when I proposed to her today, because it's the 1 year anniversary.
I'm not wearing this. I'm not wearing the dress.
Yeah,
I couldn't
can't even find it.
But actually, funny story. I almost wore a Metallica t-shirt and some Daisy Dukes. Down there, and everyone
I was telling her all day, you go wear dress.
Go change, and I was like, how dare you tell me what to wear? I was like, how dare you tell me what to wear?
Well, you know what? You guys look great, too. Both of you have really come down in scale. You guys have changed.
We got to shape up for this wedding. This is no joke here. Survival.
Hey,
I know. It's been serious.
I'm trying to get a six-pack. We've both been exercising. And
I'm down about 15 pounds.
You've been hooping it up for months.
I've been hooping it up.
You really have. Your figure looks good, and Rob is really transformed. He's lost a lot. He looks.
I didn't lose that much. It's about 15 pounds.
No.
I did go from a large down to a medium.
Matt saw the picture.
I just saw the picture. You look amazing.
315 pounds to how much now?
I am now, as of the last time I weighed myself, 177.
How do you like that, folks?
That's pretty great.
Pounds
it's all about making healthy, life decisions. But I love you.
Right on.
Oh, thank you, babe.
I can't wait to get married to you.
Congratulations to the two of you.
I can't wait to get married to you.
Everybody in New England and New Hampshire, congratulate you guys. We're looking forward to making history with you guys and throwing one of the biggest weddings in New Hampshire's history.
I think it's going to be the largest wedding in New Hampshire history.
I believe so.
Ever.
It probably will be.
And I do have to shout out to Shaking It Trading Post, because they've been awesome. They're hooking us up with a great deal on tapestries, so they'll be supporting most of those. Go check them out. They're awesome.
I want to give a big shout out to Shaking It Trading Post too, because right now Shaking It Trading Post is our first
official
ticket outlet for New Hampshire HempFest and Freedom Rally. For the last 2 years, they've been selling tickets. And
Brian is our official
awesome.
New Hampshire HempFest and Freedom Rally ticket sponsor. He sells our tickets for you. So if anybody needs a ticket, please go down to
Shaking It Trading Post. You can also get them online, too, obviously, at www.newhampshirehempfest.com.
Yeah, awesome.
Right on, man.
Any other shout-outs or promos
Steve
you got
Oswald.
for HempFest?
I want to give a Steve Oswald shout-out. He's a friend of Brian's as well. He's helping a lot of people and patients throughout the state. I want to give the Shaman a big kudos, Steve Oswald. We love you. Thank you so much for sharing the love at Strange Creek. We enjoyed your company. And we can't wait to see you again at New Hampshire HempFest and Freedom Rally with the Shaking It Trading Post.
Oh, cool.
I would actually like to give a shout-out to my business partner, Judd Snyder, who's out in Aurora, Colorado.
This is Matt Kipp, everybody, by the way.
Absolutely. My company is Mile High PMP out in Aurora, Colorado.
I talk about them all the time.
We provide multiple forms of actually alternative treatment for CBDs and assistive support for people getting off addictions.
Attributed to legal, too, as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's legal in all 50 states. We're coming up with new things every day, but the reason I started this entire thing is my daughter, but I wouldn't be there without my business partner, Judd Snyder, out in Aurora, Colorado.
God bless you, Judd. Thank you very much for giving a kickoff. Yeah, we want to give Judd a big kickoff, too. You guys know we always talk about Mile High when we're online and we're on the air, but I want to let everybody know here in New England to please come out. Our event this year was nominated by Cannabis Now as one of the top 10 events for cannabis in 2016. We were nominated as number 8, and that award to us means a lot. So we have a prestigious title to hold, and we're looking forward to support it with the events that we have and all the different vendors and sponsors that we have this year. And we're really looking forward to showing New Hampshire truly what it took to go from where we were to being nominated as one of the best in the nation. And to me, it means a tremendous amount to have that support from everybody in New England. So thank you, everybody. We're looking forward to it in a big way.
It definitely feels...
As well as national sponsors like Ital Hempwick.
Ital Hempwick. We got to give Archie a big kudos as well. He's another one. We have a lot of sponsors here that are coming on. We also have 420-insure.com. Joe LaChance has jumped on board. So we really have a lot of big names that are starting to realize, hey, these guys are for real in New New Hampshire.
So are all these people going to have like booths and whatnot?
Absolutely. These people will have their booths sponsored. They have their Matt will have his. 420 will have theirs. Dank Doll will have theirs. Cool. ITAL will be sponsored by us. We'll be giving away thousands of free hemp wicks to the crowd. We're looking forward to doing that as well.
Yeah.
And we sponsored ITAL throughout the entire date that they sponsored us. The day that they sponsored on with us, we've been giving them sponsorship throughout the entire event. We go to events throughout the entire region of New England, and we give out ITAL hemp wicks to people everywhere we go. So big thank you to Artsy. We can't wait to fly their banners and their posters at our event.
I love hemp wicks lately.
Right
are there any more promotions going on for HempFest right now? Like, say someone.
We have another promotion going on right now. One of our bands, Super Nothing, is going to be playing at Flurry's in Meredith this weekend on Sunday. They'll be headlining with Roots of Creation and a number of other different bands that'll be there. But they'll be doing a raffle for tickets to the event. So if you guys are interested on Sunday, please go up to Flurry's. They have some of the best hamburgers and food up in the Meredith area. They're open year-round. Well. They got great ice cream there as well.
Where
and
is
they're going to have great music. This Sunday, the 26th, I think, is what the Sunday is, the 26th. And it's going to be from, I think, 10 o'clock until they close. These guys will be rocking.
Flurry's is very centrally located, right across from the shopping plaza downtown Meredith.
I had just discovered Roots of Creation at Strange Creek. I've never heard their music before.
Awesome. They're great. Love them.
Yeah, was blown away.
Yeah, they are. They're quite good. They actually got a pretty good following developing here in New England in the past number of years. In the past 2 or 3 years, they're really starting to pick up and they're really getting a following. So we'll talk to them maybe next year and hope we might be able to get them involved with our festival. They've been talking to me about it. They seem to be interested. And a lot of the groups of the friends that they flow with are in the vibes of our own family. So,
is there any big acts you guys have had to turn down now that the set list is done?
On the down low.
Oh, is that too soon? Is that too soon? Can I not do that? Can I not ask that?
A few requests.
There are a number of requests daily. We get requests from bands all over the country now.
We do, and there's still a possibility that we may have one last minute ad of a big band. Possibility.
Oh, who?
Yeah,
tell us.
Who could it be?
Come on. What does it start with?
No information at this time.
Okay,
has
fine.
To be kept private. But anyway, we do. Our lineup is fully booked. We'll be coming out very shortly with our daily band times and schedules, so that everybody knows that our band folder and schedule will be coming out shortly. And get ready. We do know that we have an award-winning lineup. So,
around how long do you think till a schedule is up on the website?
The schedule will be out within the next month.
Yeah, within the next 30 days. Typically, we issue within the 30 days before the event. That's typically what we do, because if we do get some super guest stars that want to show. And another thing this year, so that everybody knows, we have a VIP area, and our VIP tickets are on sale right now. They're $197. You can't beat this with a stick anywhere in the nation. So you guys need to know that we're going to have a tremendous VIP serenades from bands from all over the country that are going to step in and play. So make sure you're there, everybody.
Go get your tickets at nhmfest.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
If you can't listen to the Liberty